Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this is the part of the meeting that we have it open for anybody that's got anything to talk about that's not on the agenda. As always, we can't act on it, but we'll take it under advisement and act on it later. So at this time, has anybody got anything they want to talk about? Johnny?
I'm not very artistic, but I drawed this up. I was wanting to show it to you. The problems that we see with the morgue, the way it's going to be. I went to the hospital, got a drawing, you know, how it's going to lay out. And here's what I done. The picture is drawn to scale. I dropped in just what we bare minimum have to have, Mike. Not a dream morgue, just what we have to have, which would be a dissection table in the morgue room. I'm not worried about the office end, the morgue end of it. We dropped a dissection table in it, autopsy table, biohazard bin, and the 2 sinks that the state requires us to have. These guys scaled to 7 feet. That's as close as I could get. Saturday, I sat through a autopsy on a homicide. There was 9 people in that autopsy room all day. Here's the problem we're going to have. I've already showed this to Randy, but we're going to have problems out there. You know, I've been saying for months we needed something bigger. I don't know if we could talk the hospital out of a 3rd room out there maybe, and forego putting the office in there to make the rest of this bigger. That's on you guys. I just wanted to show you what I have seen for the last 10 months, you know.
Well, back to the original thought of the hospital being the morgue, the coroner at the time was the one that actually went out there with the contractor.
Well, he was wrong.
So you're talking about a guy that's been in the job for 16, 20 years.
I love Jerry to death. When I showed Jerry this myself today, and he's with me on it. It's too small, but it is what it is. But I just wanted to show you what a scale drawing of it with what we need in it is.
Well, you know what my history is, don't you? Yeah, I used to be a funeral director.
My funeral director and
Well, hang
coroner
on,
has nothing
Johnny.
to do with each other.
All right.
Not a thing.
We're gonna agree to disagree. We got plans that have been approved through the state, and that's what we're gonna do right now. So if down the road,
I just didn't want somebody to say nobody told me, because
Well,
I
again-
have. I didn't come to argue. I just come
I didn't either,
to
but
show you what.
that's
Here's what the math says.
fine. Yeah.
But in Scott County, if the state and the county police were to send the same amount of photographers and stuff as they did over there Saturday, we would have to put 11 in this room.
All right.
I understand the money's done spent and all.
Well, let me back up a second. In the history of Scott County, the coroners in Scott County have been funeral directors.
Yes.
In the county of Scott County, the coroner's room's always been a funeral home.
Right.
You been in a funeral home, or in a funeral home's prep room?
Just done an autopsy in one this morning.
That's worked well for Scott County for as long as we've had a coroner. And we've had murders in this county.
But we didn't have to have the cooler in that room and the office. I'm just telling you, this is not going to work well. We'll make a broom closet work if that's what we have.
If you want my input on it, I've seen it now too, and I don't have no disagreement with you. It's but we're not going to change it now. I'm not going to change it far into the game.
I didn't come to ask you
hang on,
to.
John. You and I have had long talks. So we know where we stand. But I do think things are changing around here. We're having more overdoses than ever. We're having probably, I just think things are switching from funeral home type stuff and more to investigating type stuff. I think the coroner is investigating and examining. And Mike's right, it has always done, it's worked well. But I do think there's a transition going on in what a coroner is everywhere right now. So I'm not gonna change my vote this year, but I will tell you, my mind's open to see what we can do in the future to maybe make, and I think we've talked about this before and talked about this. I don't think what we've done now is a solution. I think it's what we could do, what we've thought was best for the moment. But I do think there's room for improvement, and I don't look for it all changing next year or something. But I think we can start our own little studies on what we can do to make that all look better. And,
Well,
I'm sorry, that's just where I am.
No, I get that, and I'll go along with that, and I'll reiterate what I've said from 2 years ago when I came to the council, came to the commissioners and told them this is gonna change. This is the first time in umpteen years and it's gonna change. Went to the council, as I've said multiple times, and the council refused to fund any type of major construction for a coroner's room. So this is the best we can do with what funds we have. In the future, if we have a capital project that we have a space to build a coroner's room, I'd be more than happy to make that something in that capital project. I mean, I'm the first one that walked then coroner Jerry Buchanan to the John Jones building and tried to figure out a space out there, and the cost was going to be 6 figures, and in the high 6 figures. I mean, to do that. So it wasn't going to be an option because the council said they didn't have any thought of spending that kind of money, and they just weren't going to do it. So this is the best we have. Again, I'll fall back to funeral homes being the corner for years and years and years, and they've had murders in this community for years and years and years, and they made do with what they had. And
the last one in Scott County, they had to move the autopsy from inside the building to outside in the garage because there was too many people in attendance. And we don't have that luxury out here at the hospital. We have what we have. But I just didn't want somebody to say later on, well, I wish you'd have showed.
I get that.
Now showed.
Well, I don't know how many people they were going to show up to the coroner's room to check it out. So, but there might be a police officer or something that gets his feelings hurt by having to stand outside for a second or two. So,
but in the long run, the coroner runs that room, not all these other people.
That's my room.
That's your room.
Right
So
now.
You have the discretion on who can be in and out of there.
Every autopsy that has happened in Scott County since I have been deputy coroner, I have had to do because of Lonnie's scheduling. I think he's been on 2, maybe 3 autopsies. I know you guys would much rather talk to Lonnie than me, but
well, he's right there.
I'm right here. We had 5 in a cooler at one time, and that's a 3-man cooler. So it can't happen. I know I was told it couldn't happen. We had 5 in the cooler. I was gonna stack them all forward.
It can happen if you have a rack, or you have to use your sense.
there's a lot of ifs. Put them in it like cordwood.
But
just whatever.
we're not Jefferson County either, so.
Well, I'm just gonna say what I started a while ago. I don't think this needs to be the end of what we're doing. It just needs to be a beginning, and we can start exploring our options. And I went over with you the other day and looked at the coroner's office. It is nice.
Oh, real nice.
It is. It is.
Yeah, Washington
but I
County.
think our own and everybody can do what they want, but I'll just start doing my own. I was doing some today, matter of fact, I'm working on checking it out a little bit more. But Lonnie's here. You guys can show us stuff we can do better. I'm willing to listen. But I'd be liar if I said and tell you we're gonna change it tonight. I don't have any intention.
I'm not gonna change it tonight because the construction starts this week, so.
Didn't ask you to. I just wanted you to
That's
see
fine.
what
But
I've seen
again,
for 10 months.
I get that, but again, I'm gonna say, if if what happened with the funeral directors not wanting to run for coroner again, guess what? We still be doing autopsies in the back of funeral homes. So, and I've never heard any of them come out and say they want a bigger area, so.
Let me tell you, Johnny.
Well,
even though
they
hang on,
have bigger
even though we
areas.
may disagree a little bit here, quite a bit maybe, I will tell you, from working with you, I've learned quite a bit about that place out there. And I have. But I don't think we're gonna make giant steps here. We're gonna make increments and hopefully get that place where it belongs. And by the way, I was over in Worcester County today and found out what they could pay compared to what you guys get, and it's pitiful.
It's it's a disgrace, is what it is.
So, anyway, that one thing I will think on my part, and everybody see what they want, I think there's a lot of room for improvement out there. And, we can just have to do our own studies. You guys bring to us what you want, and maybe we can do it bits and pieces. I don't know.
Where you go on?
Well, guys, like I was gonna say, you know, it's to the point where we just need a facility. I'm all about just get us a facility, then we'll need to see what we need after that. You know, he's correct about the size, but we'll try to work around that, okay? But if I need other equipment, I'll have to have it, so we have to spend more money.
Well, here's where I'm gonna go with that, and here, again, we're in uncharted territory
Sure,
with the coroner in Scott County. Sure. But where I'm gonna ask you as an elected official is that you need to go to here, come to here and say, I need X, Y, Z. And then, you know, and then we're gonna give you our blessing, and you're gonna go to council and you're gonna say, I need X, Y, Z money. And then they're gonna have to find it. So, they've known for 2 years that this is gonna be a different animal, because even though they've always been in funeral homes, they've had the luxury of their size of their funeral home, whether it's big or small or whatever. But now that's not the case anymore. So they need to understand, and I've forewarned them 2 years ago, that there's probably going to be some other costs about, coming with that. So, so
You know, before I forget this, Jerry's prep room is almost exactly the size of this room right here, within just inches. I measured it today. The difference is they have other rooms, you know, if they need more room, they can move stuff out of there. And they don't have a 7-foot by 8-foot cooler in it that we're gonna have to have in it. Mike, I've looked at this every way I could. You don't believe you have no idea how aggravated I've been over this. And it ain't that I want anything for myself. It's not that I'm asking for anything for myself. It's just I'm trying to point out, here's what we have, here's what we need. And this is not a good solution. We're gonna live with it. Like I said earlier, you give us a broom closet, that's what we're gonna have to tolerate. It ain't right, but that's what we're gonna have to tolerate.
We'll work it out.
But nobody can say I didn't show this to them.
that's fine.
That's what I'm here for. I didn't want no mind changing. I just wanted to show you yours.
That's not
I get that, but I'm
also.
I'm gonna, I'm not trying to be a smart aleck here, but I've been in a lot of back rooms and embalming rooms, and I know the size of all of them. So, and like I said, again, I know the size of Buchanan's and the size of Stewart's. I know the size of Adams. I know the size of
I've been in all
Collins's.
of them.
So I've been in them for years. So I can go on for.
Well, there's.
You know, we really need some help if you want to come out. I mean, we need some help.
Well,
Actually,
I was getting ready to say that.
legally-
I know the next county over, they've got 2 deputies.
Legally, I can't do that.
Maybe-
'Cause
maybe
the
3.
last coroner asked me to
3.
be a
You
deputy
need-
coroner,
you
and I
need-
couldn't do it because I'm a
There
commissioner.
shouldn't be 1.
Now, as long as you're not paid, I think you can do that.
I'm on
Wow.
call 24/7, 365, just like Lonnie.
No, we're still down.
We're having
Lonnie
a
had to
conflict
take
of
his
interest.
vacation time from his other
But
job
anyway,
to cover with me when I was down with COVID for 5 weeks.
This has been something that's been going on a long time and should have been rectified a long time ago, but it's obvious.
Well, the county's gotten relaxed with the funeral directors being coroners.
Oh,
They
yeah.
spoiled them rotten.
And it's got to a point where, everything was laid out for them. They just take the body there and they take care of it. And guys, the money is not there anymore for them to make money off that situation. It's not there. Okay? I mean, I'm losing money. I mean, gas $4 a gallon. I mean, it doesn't take long to take care of $17 a day. you know, if I get 3 or 4
I get
calls.
that, that's something you need.
But that's what I took on, I mean, that's,
Well,
I'm not
no,
griping,
I'm
that's
not-
what I took
But
on.
no, I'm not,
Yeah.
you're getting me wrong here, Lonnie. If you have expenses that are corner-related expenses, then you need to be going to the council and asking for additional appropriations.
Well, that's at the end of the year, I do that for the travel
No,
time.
you can do
No,
that anytime.
you do that tomorrow if you
I
need
understand
money.
that, but I'd rather do it at the end of the year, me and
No,
John, we
then-
done talked about it, I'd do it at the end of the year, because if the reason is, I was hoping gas would go back down, okay, because the expenses, to control our expenses, I was hoping gas was gonna go back down, but it doesn't seem
You
like it's
can't,
gonna.
you can't do it that way.
You know.
When you need an additional money, you need to go get
Oh,
it
I
then.
asked for 20,000, they give it to me, and I'll probably be back in November asking for another 20,000, because, you know, autopsies run me about $3,000 a hit. You know, I pay the pathologist who, like what John was talking a while ago, once the pathologist enters the room and he touches the body, it belongs to him. We can't touch the body after that,
I get that.
because that's evidence,
So
chain
when
of
did,
evidence.
what'd you say the cost was?
It's about $3,000, about $1,500 to $1,800 for the autopsy, and it's $800 to rent the room for Buchanan's
Okay.
to have the autopsy. Plus, we got to pay the $100 to store the body at Buchanan's. So it's close to $3,000.
Okay.
You know, so I mean, it's really taking a hit on me not having a facility. You know, I'm not here to gripe about no facility.
No,
I
I
just
get
want a
that.
facility. I mean, just
Well,
stick me
that's-
somewhere,
It's
and you
looking
know.
like sometime
I'm
for the
gonna,
first year.
I'm gonna tell you that it's gonna happen before, like John said, first year.
Well, good, good. I hope so. I really do.
Tomorrow they're putting the door up to, separate the area from.
Because that will save me some money. Yeah.
So they're gonna
Save me some
separate
money.
that tomorrow and construction getting ready to start, so.
And I have been in talks with Buchanan, and Buchanan has been talking to me about they need space, you know, they need space. And I understand that, they run a business, you know,
I get
I'm not trying to cut them. It's just that's why I'm trying to hurry, you know, we probably need to place a facility because they do need space. You know, they're growing and we're there, and, you know, there's money, but still, they need space to grow and put stuff, and we could be underway. So, I mean, that's what I'm, you know, I don't
I
want
get
to wear out
that.
our
I mean, I
welcome.
talk to Jerry quite often, so.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
All right.
Well, I think it's a
like I said,
wake-up call. This whole thing has been a wake-up call to the county.
And I just want to clear one other thing, you know, I get calls all the time, you know, that people call Jerry and ask him for, you know, well, what should we do for the coroner? I'm the elected coroner.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the one that has to make the decision on everybody that lays passed away in this county. I'm the one that mourns with the family. I'm the one that holds the family when they're crying. You know, so please, anyone has any questions, please call me. I mean, I have to know.
What are you trying,
I'm just saying that, you
I don't know
know,
who's calling Jerry.
calls have been made, you know,
About
to
what?
Jerry and asking
Lonnie,
questions.
Write your
I'm
number,
your coroner.
write your number.
okay?
down,
About
give it to
what?
me If you would.
We'll talk privately about it, but I mean, it's, I'm the coroner, and I'm the one that has to lead the chase on these investigations.
I need your telephone number,
You
if you
know.
would.
And I will handle anything you guys need any day, because I sleep with a phone, because I'm the coroner. You know, so if you need me, please call me, middle of the night, call me, we'll get up and talk. It's no big deal, okay? But it all falls on me, the burden falls on me if something goes wrong. I mean, everything. So, I mean, please call me if you need me, okay? There's no problem, no problem whatsoever.
Well, that's all I wanted to
Your
show
telephone
you.
number.
Hey, I got a pen. I got a pen. Thanks, sir.
Enter it in my phone. And it
What
falls
are you
on us
searching
too.
for?
Ink pen. Any other time I'd have 10 in my pocket.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, sir.
All right. well,
Thank you, fellas.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
see you guys.
Thank you, I hope it gets better.
I do too. I do too. Thank you.
Tammy, you're in trouble.
I'm in trouble. I didn't.
Better
bring
health.
my steel toe
You're-
one of the shoes.
Just very briefly, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm gonna ask that you amend the agenda at this time to add an additional item relative to the Thrive MOU. It was approved at the last meeting, but we have a contract. It's just gonna be a simple question of you have approval for the signatures, and we ask for an approval for signatures outside the meeting today.
I'll ask for an amendment to the agenda.
Motion made to amend the amendment.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Listen.
Whatever he said.
I have a couple things. I'll start with positive first.
You start off with a downer.
I know, right? As of today, all but one small business grant has been distributed. by the auditor's office.
That's good.
Thanks to my.
And tomorrow, that person is supposed to come, yes, is supposed to come and, get that check. So the auditor's office did a fantastic job on getting that money out. And the grant agreement signed, yes. Also on that note, we will need to have another public hearing. It'll just be something to publicly disclose again which businesses got those grants and if anybody has any comments about that. So I'll be setting that up. Do you want me to set it up as part of one of your meetings? Okay. I probably don't have time to have it for your next meeting. Yeah, I'll have to advertise and then have it at the following meeting probably. Yep, I will. I'll work with Tammy on that. So that's on that. Income survey. Historically, Scott County has had issues with completing an income survey. And more recently, it has not proven to be any different. Our office mailed 135 mailings. 45 of those were repeat mailings, follow-up mailings, because you have to make 2 attempts to each household before you can move on in the list. We billed for those mailings. Actually, we billed for less than those mailings. I think we mailed a total of 135. We billed for 120 because that's what your contract stated. Where we've almost reached a time limit, Okra will not accept a completed income survey at this point. To go further on this list, and I haven't received the surveys that Tammy's office had done door to door, but on the mailings, you had a total of 15 households respond out of 135 mailings. 15. You need about 40, 45 by when I ran the numbers on it. Going beyond that, right now, the responses we have, again, not counting her door to door, but those ran about the same, I think, when I spoke with her office. 18 were above 18 people and 11 were below. What that means is if we were able to cut it off at that point, you wouldn't qualify anyway. It'd be below the 51% that we need to be at. So it's not good. So again, we initiated the mailings. That took a few months. Then Tammy's office offered to go door to door. That occurred last month. There were 25 houses visited door to door. 5 responded. And a dog almost bit one of Tammy's employees.
Yeah, we tried. We tried the phone aspect.
Right.
We tried the phone aspect. People just didn't want to talk to us. We tried the door to door. So we've really tried to go beyond what we were to assist with this, and
I'm
it
gonna
just
ask,
not working.
what's other counties or other communities do when they're trying to do this? Do they get,
They do door to door.
do they just get
Scottsburg,
lucky as heck that somebody says, sure, give it
I
to me, I'll
think
do
it's, I mean, you've got a span of thousands of people across the county. That list is just pulling
And, yeah.
randomly. I will be honest with you, both Washington and Scott are distressed counties by census data, meaning we're poverty stricken. Typically, when a lot of the people in the poverty level receive those surveys, they're not gonna respond. It's your higher income people who respond. So, that's what I'm seeing. Washington County had a failed income survey within the past few years as well. They just couldn't get them to respond.
Melissa, it's not like you can just go knocking on doors either.
No,
There's
it's
list
a
you gotta
random
go-
list that
and
we
you can do all
run,
over the
yeah.
county.
But
Yeah.
the other part of that is that, is there any way that we can show these people to give them an incentive to do the survey that it could possibly benefit them in the long run for something to do in the county, but most of them don't want
The
to.
only thing I thought to try, and it's not really incentive based, and I know you all are running slim on time anyway, is the commissioners go door to door. I don't know what else to do
Well, that's
unless,
campaigning, so.
yeah, you'd have to
You
be.
can't take a card with you.
Well, right, no, and that would be, and again, yeah, that would be,
Why not?
that would walk a fine line, and I wouldn't necessarily suggest that or highly recommend it, and I'm sure he would have comments about that,
I
but
didn't go door to door, just so you guys know, I did not.
no, she did not, an employee of hers did. I think I shared with you before, and I hate to throw Bradley under the bus, but it's in a good way. I mean, he was the one who went door to door for the city, and he got them. done. A lot of people know Bradley.
So can I hire him to go do it?
You could.
Cause he's got a personality that he could probably do
Yeah,
that.
I mean, and I can't sit here and promise that he'll get it done. I mean, it's all based on whose house he has to go to first.
So the optimal number is 45.
Yeah. So let me go a little further. So our contract was for $1,000 for 10 hours of service, and I promise you, we probably spent double that amount of time. But we will only charge the $1,000 for the work we've done thus far. And the unfortunate news is, we had already charged for the mailings. You're not gonna have a completed survey at that point. So we would have to amend our contract for additional time to spend on a new income survey. And I talked to our executive director, and he said $850. You wouldn't have mailings charges because you're gonna do door to door if that's what you elect to do. So it'd be another $850. That's basically 8.5 hours, and like I said, we spent way more than 10 hours the last time. We just get it done, so normally. But
So
in
my
this
question
case-
is, can you still use the ones you already have?
Nope.
So you have to start over?
And I did contact Okra, because what initiated this process is we have to ask for their permission to conduct an income survey and provide justification as to why we think a survey will produce different information than the census data has. And they okayed that, and they said as long as the census data hasn't changed since we asked for that permission, we don't need to ask again. And the census data is not, as far as I know, 2020 is still not out officially. So I checked it last week, and it was not out.
So, if I'm getting this right, if we can agree to continue this, what's the timeline we have to complete it?
So technically, they tell you, you can have up to 9 months. I would highly suggest getting it done within 6.
So if we say again, we're gonna do it, but then we're gonna find other ways, you're gonna compile a list again of 130 some people, and we need 45 people to reply. Those people have addresses that we can go door to door?
I have, yes,
You're-
it's all residential. I
So-
mean, Tammy gives us the countywide list. We then randomize that list.
Okay, so you're gonna give a list to whoever we're gonna ask to go door to door
Yep.
and do something.
And we will coach them on the process.
Cause it's a really specific.
It's a very specific process.
I guess what I'm thinking of is, and it doesn't, what's the qualifications of the person that's going door to door?
Go Colts.
No felonies.
I guess where I'm getting at is,
I think it's fine.
where
I
I'm
would
getting at, possibly college students, somebody doing
I
some
think,
type
yes,
of
I
an
mean,
internship or something.
whomever is willing to volunteer,
I mean, I can
and
see
you are
maybe-
okay with sending those said people out door to door.
I'm looking at maybe a college intern or college student that needs something on their resume.
Yeah, community work, yeah,
Okay.
and they can go out, especially if it's college age, you might wanna send two
Yeah, I
two
wouldn't send
per,
one by itself.
right, and I know you wouldn't, but it just,
Okay,
yeah.
what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I think that's actually a good idea. See if we, I don't know how we were gonna hook up with people of college age, if it's send out something in the paper, or,
There's what is that, the center or whatever at IU Southeast, you know what I'm talking about, Melissa?
I'm trying to know.
She does data,
Oh, Dr. Fry?
yes.
Yeah, Melissa Fry.
Melissa Fry, that would be a good source to contact.
Yes, it would, and I have her contact information. Yes, that is a good idea.
She did the book.
She's the one, yes, and she's the one who more recently did the countywide needs assessment for the foundation.
So that's why I'm thinking,
Yeah.
if we can get some college age kids that want something on their resume or something, and then I throw Brad in there.
Lead the troop. Yeah, he got it done.
I know he did.
Yeah, in a very short amount of time.
He does well on her.
Yeah,
You can actually say, hey, you're right, Brad did it because he's a fireman, but any of the fire chiefs in the county could probably.
and that might help too, if people know the face.
Yeah.
And I love your idea about the students, but that's an idea too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm throwing that out.
I think, you know, but it has to be somebody they know. If it's just somebody showing up their door, you know, I just never usually answer the door, so.
Yeah.
So I guess, well, you need a motion from us or something, approval from us for the 850 to continue?
I do, and I just ask that you authorize, I would have Zach look at the amendment to our contract before I'd give it to you, but maybe approve it to be signed outside a meeting contingent upon his review.
That's fine.
Is that-
And make sure everybody knows what we're talking about is, I don't know who is the state or whoever, our census basically doesn't show our true status economically. in the
No,
county.
it doesn't.
So we need to go out and get 40 more people and, on that list. It would probably be a more accurate assessment of our
We hope,
position of our
yeah.
county. Which means money.
It means
To our
you can
county.
be eligible to apply for
Yeah.
grants once you
Yeah.
have that income survey, and if it is deemed above 51% low to moderate
Yeah,
income for
so
the project
the
area,
purpose is
so,
to bring income.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, most of your grants are asking for that information,
of them,
and we
yeah.
don't have anything that's updated, so.
And you can't apply at this point for Okra funds.
What do you need, Mike?
I want a motion for the $850 for them to continue monitoring and get us the numbers for the survey, so that, and if you would reach out to Melissa
Yeah.
Fry and see if she has a group that might be interested in.
I will do that.
And I'll volunteer Brad to kind of
Poor Brad.
to do that.
I'll make that motion for
If I could
that.
just rephrase the motion, a motion to approve the agreement as amended contingent
Your-
upon.
Yeah,
my
his approval.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
I'll make that unanimous, so.
Okay, thank you. I'll keep a close eye to make sure census data doesn't come out. There might be we might have to ask Okra again. There's no reason, I don't think they wouldn't tell us to proceed with the.
So we're talking about 6 to 8 months, or 6 to 9 months that we need from the time that you give us the names, that we have 9 months to complete it. Well, heck, far we can do that.
Well, you would think so, but we didn't make it there this time, so. But yes, I hope so with the different approach. I think hopefully we can get there, so.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, all right, thank you all.
Thank
Do you
you.
have any other questions?
No.
No? All right, thanks.
thank you. Next, engineer.
Yeah. So, about a month ago, we had a conversation where you had asked about the process to conduct speed studies with the idea of looking at speed limits and safety on, I think, about 7 roadways. I went back to the office, got with our traffic division, produced a fee and document sent over to you guys. Obviously, you know, I'll say up front, you know, the cost on that was about $29,000. That's obviously probably not the number that any of us were hoping to hear, or at least you weren't hoping to hear. And so I just want to kind of go back through that, give you guys a little bit more information, and then some additional options if you want to go down a couple of paths to look at that. First and foremost, I want everyone to understand we didn't just dream up what this would look like. We base all of our studies off of what is mandated in the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, MUTCD. And from that, speed studies are of course done anytime you have a road that has design changes, traffic volumes fluctuate, or when there's an identified safety issue. I would say you definitely are falling in the latter, you know, there's safety concerns. And obviously, as part of that, the current manual states that speed limit should be within 5 miles per hour plus or minus of the 85th percentile speed. That's how you determine that limit. The methodologies that go into this are obviously you take into account, you know, crash risk, reasonability of enforcement, fair in the context of traffic law, and basically you come to a point where the traffic study that's produced analyzes the observations, the road conditions, and essentially you use several different evaluators. The road's environment, condition, characteristics, observation and measurement of vehicle speeds, analysis of vehicle speeds to determine that 85th percentile, that's literally clocking people, review of the roads, crash history review of any unusual conditions that could be on that road. So let's say that we had a road that wasn't crowned properly, sloped to the side, that could be an unusual condition that would impact the study. Data collection is obviously a big part of this. It's a minimum of 100 vehicles per direction or a duration of 2 hours. So some roads are not going to have that. You're going to have the 2 hours. Some roads you could have the actual 100 depending on the counts and volume. So that's how we determined that amount that we presented to you and the scope of work related to that based on hours and averaging things together. Now, if we wanted to look at this, but consider other options and break this down, obviously there are some things that we could do. We could reduce the number of roadways that are looked at. If you guys said, okay, you know, Adam, that's great. We want to do this, but we got to take this at a slower pace. We want you to look at 2 roads. Obviously, if you take the average, it's about $4,200 roughly a road. So you could look at it that way, and you'd have a full evaluation on just those 2 roads. The other option that we could look at would be to actually utilize your highway staff to help reduce the cost from a consultant standpoint by doing some or all of that data collection. That could easily be done. We just similar like the income surveys, we would obviously work with you guys, your crew, to do some coaching on exactly what they need to do, you know, and look for. But that would save time, and just as a ballpark estimate on that, that's probably at least $6,300 in savings that could come from just doing the data collection in-house.
Is that for all the 29,000?
That is for all the roadways, yes, that were in the package. The other idea is a little bit more, I don't know if risky is the right way to say it, but it's a little bit more conditional, which would be to have us go ahead and go out there, look at speed data and perform the analysis based on speeds only to determine merit for roadways for further study. So essentially, think of it like this. We're going to go out, we're going to do some initial collection, determine if it appears the road would warrant a speed reduction. If it does not seem to warrant based on that speed data, we would essentially dispense with those roads and focus on the ones that did. If there is the chance, of course, that all of them could come back and you could say they all warrant further study.
I think on the ones I gave you, I'd almost bet they would all.
And that's my fear. Now I will tell you, if we did that, you could cut down dramatically on all doing again the whole package. Your cost could be somewhere between $10,000 and $12,000. So, you know, you cut that fee pretty dramatically in half just to get that initial evaluation. But I can't guarantee that I'm not going to present you 7 roads that all warrant it, that require that next piece to be done so you can technically go in and lower the speed limit.
So on the part that you said, if the county highway had someone that could sit out there and you showed them, here's what you need to check off the boxes and mark the cars and check the speeds or whatever. How long of a time period is a time study or a mileage study or a road survey done on each road?
You need at least 2 hours on each road.
So a 2-hour period on each road
during
optimal
normal or optimal weather conditions. You can't like do it on a snowstorm day.
You got anybody sick?
I'll have some guys volunteer for that.
It sounds really good. I will tell you, I have gone out and done this once with our traffic division. Bless their souls, they're better than I am, because I would get completely bored and couldn't do that every day.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say that I know that legally we have to have a road survey if we want to check any speed or reduce any speeds. Did you not say, Melissa, that we had to have a road study to apply for some sort of grant? You sent me an email or something, said we had to, for that to happen, you had to show that you were in the process of
I have traffic, we do traffic counts, but I think where this all stemmed from is you all had asked me if we, River Hills, could do counts. And at a particular meeting, I don't remember which, Zach said, no, you need more than a traffic count to justify or something to that effect that you need to raise or lower the speed limit.
Yeah.
I thought something like, a conversation like that was had.
And just
So
to
then
clarify,
Adam kinda came
yeah, just
on.
to clarify, because, you know, we've talked about this with River Hills before. Their tube counters will log in the number of vehicles that cross that point. They'll log in the speed range. They won't give you much additional information beyond that. So you're just getting raw data. That's actually important for some engineering projects, because you need to know how many cars are crossing this section of road if we're looking to rebuild the road or do improvements on it. At the same time, it's not going to give you a good illustration on its own about whether the speed limit is warranted or whether it needs to be reduced, or I guess technically it could be increased.
And it will be more apt to make us legal and less liable if we do it properly.
Generally speaking, yeah. What my engineers would obviously say is that we would not want to do something to just give you data and take on liability on our part to make a recommendation absent making sure we've checked the appropriate boxes in METCD.
Well, I know it's a high ticket item, but I think we need to do something to be able to reduce the speed limits to what we want them to be and slow some people down. I'm not dead set on the 7 roads I gave. I just pretty much gave you 7 roads that were all straight shots that I knew personally, knowing that they were just, people were flying down those
I
roads.
threw one in there that I'd had complaints
Yeah.
on. If I had a concern, this is not, I don't know what kind of concern this is, but I'm afraid we're gonna start getting everybody in the county want their road surveyed.
Well,
Yeah, but we need to do it though, I'm with you on this, I just,
what do you
I
got?
don't know where it's gonna end
Well,
sometime.
First off, I appreciate everything you guys do. You're almost here
Yep.
for every meeting.
No, I totally get it.
But one of the things that I did run on and I want to watch is, I realize, below 50,000, we don't have to go to bids. But I would like to get at least one more bid.
Sure. And the only thing that I would just ask, just as, obviously professional courtesy, is that we make sure we're comparing apples to apples and oranges to oranges. We obviously put ourselves out here to give you this number. This is the world we work in and live in, so we're used to it. Other firms are used to it too. I just would not want someone coming in and say, oh yeah, we can do X, and really what they're bidding on or giving you is another. And then they come back later and say, oh, well, you want that? Well, we need another $10,000.
But you and Melissa worked together before, this is not it
Yeah.
seems like you understand each other.
I mean, yeah, and I don't know, from my standpoint, River Hills would not be involved in this per se. I mean, if they've got some existing data, we would use that for evaluation purposes, and that could save us a little bit of time and money on the margins. But I think what you have to do is make sure you click those boxes from the, requirements of the METCD. So you'd want to make sure that you did it, I guess, by the book. Zach's going to get mad at me if I give him a cruddy, study to base an ordinance change on.
Well, looks to me if we stick with the 7 roads, if we do, I mean, those were all pretty high volume roads. And if I'm not pointing at Kevin, but if we found somebody that was comparable enough to go out there and check a box and sit there in a car and drink a pop all day long. I was getting ready to point at Sonny and go, set him out there in a car all day long.
Price just went up though, didn't it?
Somebody might test it.
But, But I think that would be a big time savings of $6,300 if we do that
Yeah.
part of your survey for you.
Yeah, and I think we could piece together what that would look like on our end so that you guys have a better.
So that puts it down around $2,200 or $2,300, so I think that would, I mean, we could probably beg the council for some money.
And I suppose the weather doesn't make a difference, how you do these things. In other words,
I mean, in
it's gonna
general
get harder
sense,
to do with winter time.
Well, it could. I mean, if we have a bad winter where, it's snowing and sleeting all the time, obviously those are not optimal conditions. But in a general sense, if we're talking about a normal winter where, maybe you've got a day or a week where you've been impacted by snow, but then you've got another day or a week where things are normal, I think you'd be okay. We can usually work around the seasonal changes.
I think at this point, I think, I don't think we're ready to vote on anything. I think we can discuss it, amongst ourselves and figure out if the 7 roads are what the 7 roads we want, or we want to knock something off, or we want to add something or something else. But you said we'll go roughly $4,200 per road. So
Yeah, if I did my math right, it's
I'm
just
sticking to that.
it's yeah, you're holding to. But if you take that 29, each road's about even. It's not like one is so much more. This is not one of those type of processes where if you design 2 miles versus 10 miles, there's a different cost. Obviously, there would be.
I guess I also have a question because, and this is a speed limit question. It may not even be something you can answer, but if it's only a certain part of that road, that we want posted.
We would focus on that part of the road.
And, but when, I guess this question to you, legally, do we post that, just a sign on at that particular area? Do we have to say when that stops, or,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would typically sign at the beginning of that change and at the
We would
end.
change at the end, just based
Okay.
on the state's.
Yeah.
So the last sign will say as fast as you want?
I think it's 55.
55
Yeah,
is what it.
55,
Welcome to the Olive Barn.
It feels like that out
You've
there.
been consistent being there, Adam. I know you've worked hard on it.
Well, and again, I want to, what we pride ourselves on is giving you guys options, as you guys know. I mean, we know that sometimes you say, hey,
I think a good place to start would probably be to table just any final decision to the next meeting, and probably give council an opportunity to look at what they can
Funding.
appropriate
That's
for
the
a study.
question.
Yeah, because I'm not really for sure where other counties actually fund these from, but I do know that the highway department has part of their money is now restricted, and it's pulled over to the side that one main fund has got 2 sub-funds, so to speak, and half of it is like on lockdown. It's very limited in what your scope of what you can expend, and I don't know if a road study is part of that scope. So there's some research to be done on the funding.
Might just want to look at.
Yes.
Well, the reason I asked
Where the
about
funds
the
can come
weather,
from.
we ought to set a deadline, get this done or not do it. We'll get a deadline set up, we can have some answers. This could drag on till January if we're not careful here. And so I'd like to at least get something in motion, whatever we're gonna do, and then a point where we'll say, here's where we're gonna make a decision.
Well, you made a comment a while ago about a second opinion,
Yeah,
or
I mean,
now the
I
rest
would
or
like to get
something,
other
but
votes.
you have somebody else in mind, or do you?
Well, I mean, I don't know any of them. Like I know there's a JSE engineering in Jackson County. I thought that you said you knew somebody else.
Not for the traffic studies,
Okay.
no. Actually, we were talking about her traffic, they put stuff out every once in a while, but it's mainly for the community crossing stuff. So, I mean,
I don't know. They reached out to me, so I became an engineer, or they reached out to me, so I became a commissioner. That's just, so I was just.
well, we can check and see if there's somebody else out there that does that, I don't know. I mean, actually, I didn't even know you did
I
it.
just,
Just like
Way it works.
I just want to be fair.
We pop up when we hear something we can do.
I get that, but, well, let's table it right now, and we'll see if we can get another, person to give us a quote on something, and if we can, and then we'll also send a letter or something to the council and ask them, see if they can fund something, or we'll go from there.
All right,
You're a good man.
very good, no
Appreciate
problem.
it, Andrew.
Thanks, sir.
And I am gonna sneak out actually this time because I have to get to another meeting up in Bloomington.
All right, take care.
Thanks, guys.
United Way. Which capacity are you here on?
So, in all of my spare time after the health department,
Did
I'm
I see you
actually
yesterday?
United Board President. So I'm here with Nancy.
She is. We are very, very thankful. Okay. Oh, that's ours.
Oh, that's ours? I have one already.
Oh,
I didn't
So I
know
thought that
which
was
hat you
yours.
had on tonight.
We might have all our notes on.
Well,
yeah, it does.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, John likes the notes.
That may have
I wanna know about
some, that may have some scribbles on
Oh, I
it.
need the notes.
So I think maybe Nancy and Tammy have had some conversations, and then Nancy and I have had some conversations. Obviously, art money is a big topic for a lot of counties. And one thing that art money I think can be used for is for nonprofits who have had loss of revenue or loss of donations due to COVID. Because a lot of events were canceled, companies wouldn't let us come in face to face to do certain things and do our campaigns. So that's kind of why Nancy and I are here tonight. So if you turn to your second page, this is kind of just where we give our funding over the last few years. So what we do is we get donations in from the community, and then every year we have an allocations process. So based on how much money we get in from our donations, we allocate some money for allocations, which is basically our small grant program. Our focus is really like early childhood development. So as you can see, a lot of those programs focus on early childhood development. So yeah, a lot of great programs. CASA, Cradle, Clearinghouse, English and Park Summer Program, YMCA, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Lifespan, American Red Cross, New Hope Services, Gleaner Food Bank are all some things that we've done in the past. Some other projects that we like to do for the community, we have caring construction. So if somebody reaches out to Nancy and they say, I'm disabled or I've become disabled and I need a ramp built, can United Way help me with that? And we do. We get volunteers to go out and build the ramp, and then we just pay for the material. We haven't built one though in a couple, probably 18 months.
Probably.
Yeah. And then every year we try to do a day of caring. So if people need their gutters cleaned out, I know one year we did some painting and different things at Austin Park. Just United Way Day of Caring is actually really big across a lot of communities. Like I know Cummins, a lot of banks, things like that in Jackson County and Bartholomew County and bigger counties. They like pay their employees to go out and do United Way Day of Carings to give back to the community. So Day of Caring is a really big part of United Ways. And then one of my favorite programs is the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. So basically anyone from birth to 5 can sign up as a Scott County resident and get a book every month mailed to you in the mail, addressed to the child, and they're age appropriate. So you're not, I think the very last book you get is like Off to Kindergarten or something like that, right? So it's nice whenever they get a book every month, and it's free to the parent. And of course, early literacy is compared to how you doing better in school and grades and that sort of thing. Do you have a question, Mike?
I did,
You'll pass. And so
you answered it, so.
okay. The next page kind of just is the figures, so the important part, right? The money stuff of kind of showing where we were in 2019, where we were in 2020. Did I skip a page?
I think
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I did? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Hand
No, I
down.
think I did yours wrong.
Oh, you did mine wrong.
I'm
Okay, it's
so
Nancy's
sorry.
fault. No, it's okay. Okay, I'm sorry. This part. So during the COVID pandemic, what I like to say is like we tried to help ourselves. So we applied for the PPP loans, which we did get. We've applied for basically another type of retention credit through the feds, and we're waiting to see if we're getting that. But then we also received a Lilly Endowment grant through Indiana United Way, which, how much was that, Nancy?
It was, we dispersed over 200, well, we did a total of 211,000.
Yeah, so that was money that was given to us through the Lilly Endowment, and we gave out to community organizations here in Scott County. But of course, we couldn't use any of that for us, but we did, we
So it was a
care.
pass-through.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
They had to meet certain requirements, and they, you know, we took made up a committee of,
Mhm.
you know, Austin, Scottsburg,
A council member from each
council
one.
member from each one. Other people came on to the committee, and then they had to verify the request.
So we did some nonprofits. I know we gave some money to the YMCA, some mental health organizations. I think they gave out some
Preschool.
care for free. Yep, preschools. I think some beauty salons maybe applied for some money. So really just, you know, gave back to the community as well as trying to help ourselves during the pandemic as much as we could. So then to the nitty gritty of the money stuff. So Nancy put together some figures for you guys that just talks about where we were in 2019, where we were in 2020, where we're currently projected for 2021. And as you can see, we're projected to kind of have an overall loss of over $231,000. So what our ask to you guys is to obviously take this into consideration, because you can't make any, you know, promises or anything tonight, and see if you would consider United Way as part of the art monies and nonprofit as, you know, losing some of our revenues and donations during COVID.
The question I would have, and I know you called me the other day, or sent me an email or
Yes.
text, something about this. What I think we've talked about as commissioners is that if, you know, it's nice you came and gave a presentation of but to write some sort of want list of, hey, here's why we lost money, and here's what what kind of grant money we're asking for, money, and then what it's gonna be used for.
Okay.
So, that's what we've asked in the past of some other organizations, and I know the Y's big in every community, and
Yeah, well, I think our ask is the 200,000, which is kind of in that last slide there, which is obviously a big ask, which we realize that. But, and then, you know, if you guys wanted to put the precedent on it, it can only be used for allocations in the future for the next few years, where that's, like I said, that's our grant process where we hand it out to smaller organizations, or so much of it go towards our admin fees, or go towards our fundraising events, however you guys want to do that. But yeah, our ask would be 200,000, and I think, Tammy, because we've shown where we've lost revenue during COVID, that would meet some of that. So it's not a project like the fair project.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
exactly what I'm asking for. So
Okay.
you've got it in a nutshell.
Sorry if I
here,
didn't
so,
Yeah.
explain that.
Yeah.
So I mean, and
I listen.
but what you're really saying you're gonna spend it on is, and I guess I didn't read the last part of it.
It's
here.
okay.
Giving
I tried to be
funding,
fast. 'Cause I think
giving
there's a-
funding to health, education, children, families, assisting for food shelters, and and helping pretty much what you do anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds like so, and I guess what you're stating is that your revenue that you would have normally got in the past was down, so you didn't get the revenue or the money that you
I
normally
would
get.
equate this with the lost revenue that the county's probably gonna kind of
Yeah.
calculate for our lost income replacement. So that way you definitely tie it, we're working on the assumption that during 2019 compared to 2020 compared to 21, this is all COVID assumed losses, or
Definitely.
an effect from COVID.
Yes.
So I think that last sheet has really kind
Yeah,
of
actually, it's.
encapsulated everything that we would be looking at as a review for this. So I think if you guys would be so inclined, I have a folder that I'm putting all
Take
these
one of these.
prospective projects into, and we'll have a special meeting at some point in the near future for you guys to review these plans, and then determine what you may need or may not need in more documentation, and who's gonna get passed on to council for appropriation.
Yeah,
So how's that?
I think
Was that
that's-
okay?
That's
Okay.
exactly what
Okay.
I asked
You'll be
for.
the one in the folder.
All
You
right.
are good to go in the folder, okay, how's that?
Well, I mean, the YMCA is a big thing in Scott County. I mean, they've touched a lot of kids and done a lot of good things, so,
We basically help fund their summer program.
We did fund
Yeah.
their summer program.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so every child was able to have a safe place. They had 2 meals and a snack, and yes, definitely.
Well, they say the wise in most communities for a reason, so.
Exactly. And we tried really hard, I will say this, to really take those ERI dollars and put them where they would be best used to help take the burden off of other, you know, government agencies and so forth that maybe didn't have those dollars, you know, coming in. Like I said, it didn't help United Way bottom line, but
Yeah.
that's what United Way is for the people, you know, in the community and the children. And so, yes, we were not allowed to walk into doors. We're still not allowed to walk in most doors. We were able to have the golf scramble, so we did that because COVID said we could do that outside, you know, and so on. I've spent the day at Morgan Foods outside, and I love cold weather. No,
you don't.
No, I don't. I really don't. But, you know, it's that thinking outside that box. And so I hope that that shows that our board is really into that. We really are trying to help ourselves as well. We're not just going around asking for a handout. We want to do everything that we can to help ourselves, to help the community.
Yeah.
Well,
So yeah, we have to be outside at Morgan's with the food truck today. It's fun.
well, United Way has always been a big player, so.
Yes.
All right, well, you go on our pile of
Okay.
ones.
Thank you.
So,
Accordion folder.
Yes.
Yeah, I did get one this morning.
so, like I said, those are ones that, are worthwhile, so. And I know a lot of people took a big hit, so.
Sure did. But we're working, we're trying.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
I have to stay up here because I'm next on the agenda. so-
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Tell me if I'm
No,
not
I'm
wrong,
glad.
Tammy, but this is good for the second draw too. If this thing don't happen in the first draw, do they have to reply again?
Thank you, ma'am.
Actually, the way I understand, I mean, I don't know how we're talking, I know there's 2 draws of money, but by the
Yeah.
time we give out probably the first money, the other money's gonna be there too, so.
Well, that's what I mean. If there isn't enough money the first time to take care of
Yeah.
everybody, these people automatically in the second.
You could, however you guys.
You could,
wanna
you
work
could,
it.
you could approve them and just
Yeah.
appropriate the money when
Because
it
in a
comes
year, we'll
in.
have the
Yeah.
other one, unless in a year, in May. We
Yeah.
should have the other.
Well, I don't want people
Yes.
thinking if they don't make the first
Did you-
round, they're not.
Then we have to
gonna
go through all
make the
this.
second.
Yeah. No, I'd say we,
Yeah.
go ahead.
All right, thank you.
all
So the new Frankfurt property site, Tim went out and looked at it. He feels like since it's been burned, they've done some cleanup, cut back some trees. He feels fine with it kind of being like,
The cleanup part.
yes, the cleanup part. So, we would need a motion from them to approve that or,
Say it's satisfactory.
yeah, I don't,
Yeah, just, yeah, a motion would
Accept
be
his-
fine, I think, just to accept the health department's recommendation as to the, conditions on
New
The
Frankfurt
cleanup.
the
Road.
new Frankfurt.
the cleanup of the
I'll
unsafe
make
building.
that motion.
John makes a motion to accept the satisfactory, comments from the health department that the New Frankfurt Road property is cleaned up to the health department's satisfactory.
And that would pull the, current, I don't know if we have open requests for cleanup, like.
Have you guys got any bids?
We have some bids,
You do? Okay.
yeah,
So then would we just need to like mail them a letter?
Yes, the,
Okay.
but we haven't
Open them.
opened them or assigned anybody to clean up any properties, because actually, the guys that were going out there were confused, because they're like,
Yes.
there's nothing, what do you want me to clean up? What do you want
We
me to
did
do?"
have
Right.
one, but it's not been opened.
Yeah,
Okay. So do we need to do
I don't
anything
wanna
with
open that
those?
yet, because there's still 2 I know that
Might
I
be
didn't
in
really
there.
give them a timeline of when to turn it in, so I need to call them and tell them,
Okay.
if you wanna be part of this, you need to turn it in.
Well,
so.
we have reason to believe that the 3705 East Lovers Lane may be
That'll be next.
cleared up, and you guys
Uh,
might have to do the similar action, possibly.
Yeah.
It's been
Let's finish
long.
New Frankfurt. So John made the motion.
Yes.
Yes.
Who's running
I'm
this?
keeping you on track, okay? Okay.
Okay, we're into it. We're in it all the way.
John made a motion. Randy?
I vote, but she tells me I can't.
He's scared of now, Michelle.
Yeah, I'll second the motion about the cleanup. One thing I would like to ask, so where are we at with the building
I will get to that.
and the people living in it and?
Yes, yes, that is.
That's another story. So I'll make, John made a motion, Randy seconded, I'll make that unanimous
Okay.
to say that the New Frankfurt property for the cleanup is satisfactory.
Okay. So then also while he was out there, he got pictures, updated pictures of the temporary dwelling and temporary
Just say it, it's
whatever,
a
yeah.
shed.
Shed and outhouse or porta potty. So I talked to Zach about it. We kind of decided that since it's a temporary dwelling, that it would probably fall under Marty's ordinances. So I assume you've probably sent a letter, Marty.
I have not had
Okay.
time to do that yet, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So direct all daggers to Marty.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So
Is that right, Zach? That's okay.
that falls under the area plan now, so.
Yes, because they have an outhouse there to dispose of their waste. It's just all temporary, which seems to be area plan.
So did Tim get out and walk around?
I don't know if he walked around. He got pictures.
What
There's
I'm
a
asking-
dog out there, and it's
Yeah, I know that's a big dog.
yeah.
But, what I'm asking is are they still run off a generator or they have electric from the pole?
I don't know that answer.
Because I was told that it was a generator at one time, so
Okay.
I'll check, I'll go by there and check, but,
Okay.
even though it's your district,
No, I'm gonna check it out.
I mean, if it is a generator, what's the issue there?
I still don't think that that's a health department.
Okay.
It's not, no, I
Okay.
know that's not you,
Okay.
it's
Marty.
falls back on the area
Might be a
plan.
generator.
Uh,
But
Okay.
anyway,
So
now you
yes.
can ask your
Okay,
question.
and then, so that's that. And then the second thing I wanted to ask you is, I remember we talked about burning of plastic in the trash.
We did. Yes, John came and talked to me earlier this week about that too.
Okay, so,
So, what, John? Do you want to just tell me?
Well, I went out to that burn site, and took a look at it, it was kinda hard to find, the address they gave me was, but the pictures on here show, and this is, Mike can give me a better answer here, but it's all white smoke. And generally, that is an indicator that there's not oils and whatnot in it. And, the law as I've read it, and I had Jeff give it to me today, basically, you can burn out in the county, as long as it's basically yard waste, non-treated lumber, and things of that nature. But anytime you put, anything like oil, the plastic cartons and all that in your normal house waste, you're breaking the law. And of course, then the question always comes up, who's gonna enforce it? And this is in kind of in a housing division. So it's a little bit different in a wide open country. But I know you can burn out, and most people in the county like being out in the county where they can burn. But if you get into housing division, a little bit closer, and it might irritate the neighbors. But if I understand the law right, you can burn out in the county, according to the Indiana Environmental Management, as long as you're not using improper stuff in the fire.
I don't think it would matter whether it was a housing district out in the county or,
Yeah.
a farm. I don't think it matters where the location is and whether it's in a, incorporated town
Yes.
or city versus county. Now, neighbors might not like it, but that doesn't necessarily make it a county issue. It may be a subdivision issue
Well, and
where
it,
they violated some type of
and,
local covenant
Well,
restricting land use, but that's
and-
not a violation of the
as I said a
law.
minute ago, if somebody is doing something improper, then it comes down to who's gonna correct it. I don't think we're gonna get IDEM down here at everybody's house to burn trash.
Yeah, or EPA.
Maybe we could, I don't think so. I would assume it would be our law enforcement agency, we'd probably go out and tell them they can't do that.
IDM's not gonna come down.
No, they're not going to.
But you could also, what we talked about doing an ordinance, but I think that's a big
I don't even know if
undertaking,
that would
and if you,
work.
or if you guys even want to do
Well,
that.
I thought about that, you could pass an ordinance telling somebody in this housing division they have to obey the law.
Well, or if you like, or if you're in a residential country area, if you live so
Well,
close to another, you
yeah.
can't do open burning or
Well,
something like
yeah,
that.
if you wanted to take a residential area, I don't even know if we could do that for
I don't
ordinance or not, but,
Defining that, I think, would get kind of complicated,
Mhm.
but.
Yeah, we talked about that.
yeah.
And I think that doesn't deal with the underlying issue of enforcement, really. So,
well, and that's exactly what I want to get at, you know.
Yeah.
we need to come up with somebody who will look into that and investigate into that. And
Well, your
like
fire
in that
department-
particular case, I understand, you know, but we are gonna at some time in the future, we're gonna have somebody burn a tire, we're gonna have somebody burn plastic.
Now,
And somebody,
I damn will come down when tires are burning.
Well, not one tire, but they'll,
Yes.
if
Now-
you're burning a bunch of tires, they're gonna, somebody, they can come down, but, what happens, and I'll say what happens in the city of Scottsburg, cause I'm a city fireman. Somebody's burning trash, and it's not in a fire pit, then it gets put out, no matter what they're burning. If they're burning, like you said, leaves or brush or something, and it's in a fire pit, then it doesn't get put out. If somebody's burning plastics or something and it irritates the neighbors, it gets put out. But, in the county, again, I say that's like John said, it's kind of a different animal. You
So
know,
the fire department does that for the city limits?
yeah.
Well, I think they'll do it in the county too.
The county will go out, they go out on county runs
Yeah.
but if it's normally, if it's constituted what's the word I'm looking for, a controlled burn, they will not put it out.
Okay.
Now, if they're burning plastics
Yeah.
or tires, and they can tell that they're burning plastic and tires, 9 out of 10 times, the fire department will put it out.
So what stops that person from just waiting an hour and starting it again?
They'll get called again.
Okay.
And like I said, your enforcement area does come down to the fire departments and your local law enforcement. And I don't even know what they can do besides go out and tell you can't do this or
Well, the next thing they do is they just file with a fire marshal or something,
Yeah.
and
go from there. So I think where we're at here is the law's the law and they're not supposed to be able to do it.
And you
And
talked
if they do
to
it,
someone
we need
that
to
lives at the
contact our
home.
local fire department or law enforcement.
well, the thing about it is, it's like anything within the city or out of the city or in the county, whether you're living 2 acres or 10 acres for somebody or 500 feet, you need to be a good neighbor.
Yeah.
If you know, if your neighbor would turn around and do the same thing to you, would you be happy about it? I mean, maybe not, I don't know,
But in the pictures that John showed me, it was in a barrel.
Yeah, well,
White
it
smoke.
had a pit around it, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got the picture.
So I don't really know if, even if, like, in that instance, if the fire department went out, I don't even know if they would put it out.
Well, they may not, but they could at least go talk to these people and explain the law to them.
well, I mean, I guess my problem is, we're asking a volunteer fire department to take their time out every time something like this happens.
Yep.
And I kinda feel like we need to have a department in place to investigate something like that, and maybe they take it, the bull by the horns, to call the fire department.
But I don't know who that would be. And,
it's always been part of the fire department that,
Yeah, they
whether
do
it's
it.
city or county, and then I've been out there many a time, and if
I
the
don't know.
homeowner wants to be you know what?
I don't know anybody being better in the fire department. I mean, they know the law
No,
better than anybody.
we've actually, when somebody wouldn't put it out, you know, or said they weren't gonna put it out, as we're putting it out, the police are called so that, you know, they understand that.
Yeah.
Well, I talked to his dad too, I explained all this quite a bit, and I think we're looking for something there, I think it's already in place, but I don't know what they expect out of us to come out here and put the fire out and write somebody a ticket.
I'm not talking about this one incident,
Yeah.
I'm talking about in the future.
Yeah,
I mean, we're,
The only question
basically,
is,
we're getting lucky this one incident, and we don't
It's
have to deal
happened
with
for
it.
years,
But,
I mean,
yeah.
it just
this
hits
is
and
old.
miss, and somebody
the only
comes and goes,
question
and
You know
really
it,
is
I
like,
know
is
it.
there a statute that delegates authority for enforcement to the Board of Commissioners? If there's no statute that exists that does that, you can take any action you'd like, but it would most likely, when challenged, be declared void.
but you would, technically what you're falling on, just like Jeff talked to me about too, said something to you, you'd fall under state statute, whether what is considered an open burn and what you can burn, what you can't burn. I mean, but like I said, it's 9 out of 10 times that, you know, the person will say sorry or whatever, and they'll put it out. I mean, I don't know the particulars about this encounter here outside somebody just complaining, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do whatever you guys want me to
I honestly
do,
almost
but.
stopped myself and went out, no, that's not my job anymore. I'll get out there and get myself in a mess I don't belong in. And it may be quite simple, if they don't know they're doing something, they're taking neighbors.
Well,
If we had a communication, that's where I think, yeah.
I think educating, doing newspaper, some stuff out,
I agree with that.
somebody say, hey, here's what you can burn in an open pit, here's what you can't burn in an open pit, and, be nice to your neighbors. So, I'm gonna ask you a question since changing the subject, what are we doing with this, I won't say a construction, this project you want in your
In my
garages?
bay? I'm still getting quotes.
Okay.
I kind of went, there was kind of the idea pitched out by Lincoln that we could kind of build, you know how Tim's office is like right there beside the bay and it has like those windows and stuff? Kind of the idea like we could build like another Tim's like office on part of that bay. But then he was worried about fumes and I was kind of worried about like being a permanent structure. I don't know, because hopefully it won't be like this forever. So then I went back to doing the heat, so I just gotta get bids now. Because I assume you guys want at least 2 bids, right, for stuff like that.
So
And
you're talking about
to-
like when you open those doors and it's cold weather outside, that you would like your people kind of insulated somewhat, or?
Yeah,
Can you
so,
not
or
give
even
us-
so like right now the only heating unit in there is just like a top, just blows out
Yeah.
hot air, but it doesn't really output a lot. It's just one unit. The sheriff's department actually has them in one of their back bays. If you're ever
I've seen
back there where they store all their stuff, they're just like across the ceiling.
Yeah, it's a
So doing like a
propane.
30-foot
Yeah.
one across the ceiling to, one, it'll heat it really quickly whenever
Did
the
you ask
doors are
about the air
closed.
curtain?
I did. He said if we want to spend some money, that we could make it happen. But I don't know if I want to spend that kind of money. So
You said you had a bunch.
I know, but you know, if you can get a bare
I
minimum.
just wondered about.
Yeah. So hopefully before too long, because it's getting cold quick. So yes.
Is that it?
No, we got to talk about Lover's Lane, the other unsafe building site. So apparently it's switched property owners, and they're doing some cleanup. Tim went out there and checked on that too. So do you want to wait? Do you want to put the bids in the deadline like December 1st?
Well, we haven't said when we're gonna open the bids that we have or whatever. If they're cleaning up to your satisfaction,
Well, not yet, but they're working on it.
but if someone else has purchased the property to either tear that down and rebuild a house or whatever, they're tear it down and just clean it up.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but
It has been repurchased, it's got deeds on file. They claim they'll do whatever we need to get it done. The only thing they were concerned about really when I talked to them was, are they gonna end up going after taxes and whatnot, and that's,
Yeah.
I
And
can't
that would
answer
be
that.
only if work is performed
Yeah.
and a lien put on there. So if,
Well-
and the property owner, current property owner now told me their goal is for it to just be vacant ground.
well, if he
Yes.
cleans it up, we won't send anybody out there to
Okay,
to
so you want to just give
create
us some
an extra
time?
bill, so I'll
So-
give him time. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good.
I don't want, and Mason said that night that
Mhm.
there's a possible person wanting to buy it, and but he said, I'm not in a position to say it's gonna happen right now, so.
Right.
So I'm fine with delaying that, any
Okay.
action out there, and give this new property owner an opportunity to clean it up, and if he does, it saves everybody.
Yep.
So.
Do you need any kind of motion on that, Zach?
I would just set a deadline potentially on like
A
cleanup.
reinspection.
Yeah, for,
So maybe the December 1st meeting will revisit the issue?
I think Marty
Give them a
is.
month?
I have an update on that. I had a gentleman come in last week and get a demolition permit from the planning commission that he had purchased the property. He proved that he purchased the property and that he will be tearing that house down and removing all the rubble that was left from the previous.
Nice.
And he simply
Good
plans
solution.
to leave it empty.
All right,
So I
well,
think just give a deadline to like review.
So let's review on
the
December
timeframe
1st.
to review.
Is that okay? December 1st is the first meeting. is
Yeah, so
that-
you can have Mr. Bruner, I guess, re-inspect, and
Yeah.
then you can report back on the first meeting in December,
Mhm.
and then they can take whatever action they need to.
Well, I think that's
Okay.
just fair to the new owner, and,
Yeah.
and he won't have additional cost. Of course, if he
Definitely.
was in a situation that somebody else was in and said, hey, yes, send him out there and clean it up, and I'll just pay them. So,
Yeah, he may have saved himself some money. Tim said he
Yeah.
had some pricey equipment out there, so.
all right,
All right, I think that's it. So,
go ahead.
thank you guys.
What's going on, Michelle?
I was just wanting a clarification on that shed being temporary. They're allowed to live in it temporarily for a while or what?
Marty, what's your ordinance on that?
They are not allowed to live there. You have to have, a home has to have at least 950 square feet of living space, plus be served by utilities. And so that's what my letter is going to reflect to them.
It's
So
just temporary now.
here's where I'm gonna say, I'm on that area plan board, so here's where I'm, and not, she's gonna correct me if I'm wrong,
I am,
and I'm probably wrong, but,
I'm waiting.
if we have, the next meeting we have, then I'm gonna ask her to bring it to that meeting, and we're gonna, I think as a group, we need to vote on it to either tell them that that's unsatisfactory, we can't do it, and give them an eviction notice, cause I'm tired of people living in something that, is not.
I wouldn't say it's an eviction.
Well, it's not,
Yeah, what's the notice
condemnation.
period under, what's the notice period for,
30
a
days
violation? Yeah, so, 30 days from the date of,
from the date of the letter
Service.
that I was sent.
yeah. you can put
yeah, I'm with you, Marcella, I'm not, if they don't have running water, running heat, whatever, I
Sure.
mean, unless they come and get a permit, and I don't even know if they even came and got a permit, so
Probably not.
they need to go.
Plus,
Okay.
you still have 950 square feet.
That's correct. But I think eventually the area plan is gonna change their mind on that 950 square feet or something, but where I'm going at with now is and this isn't a hunting cabin that somebody's coming out and spending a weekend in and, staying out of the environment, but it's to me, you need to have running water and sewer and that,
Yeah,
we don't live in the 50s anymore, so
sure.
for us, it knows what an outhouse is, so.
Okay. I won't be here
All
at the
right.
next meeting. I'll be out
So
of town.
Marcel,
Marty
that's
just sent me an
gonna be the
email.
answer, is that we're going to send them a letter and then, give them a time period that they have to, leave. So,
All right, thank you.
Mr. Kevin,
Thanks, guys.
you might be able to get first on the list one of these days.
I'm gonna be quick. I don't have a lot.
Doesn't matter.
I'm getting ready to hand you guys the minute thing here in a few minutes, and you guys can write your notes.
So I'll do the first one me and Tammy talked about earlier. I'm gonna have some community crossing papers to get signed.
Saw
So,
that.
Yeah, so,
And actually, was that one you filed?
yeah, but that's for, the Liquid Road and the, rejuvenation.
All right, for everybody that doesn't know, we were awarded $92,000.
96,000.
Actually, I got an email on it, 'cause I was for the community crossing grant. It came out today,
No, I mean, $92,000, what's that specific for?
that's what he was just saying.
That is for, a few roads and the Liquid Road.
That's a
And
mistake, I forget, so-
the other roads is the rejuvenation, so that's the roads that you had paved in like 2016.
Yeah,
So we're gonna go through and crumb rubber 'em and put the rejuvenation on 'em and preserve the roads that's been done so far.
fantastic. Thank
So
you.
that's, a program we're gonna work
Actually,
on.
I'm really surprised that we got that, because normally, don't we have to close out a grant to get to be eligible for the next grant?
Well, we're still eligible for several more months, actually.
All right, the exact number was $96,279.75,
Yes.
so, thank you.
So that product, one reason I wanted to try that product, the rejuvenation, which we're gonna get some bids and do it on contractor wise, but I think it's something we can do in-house. Or I know it's something we can do in-house, but this gives us an opportunity to watch guys that do it every day and maybe learn from what they got going on, see if it's a good product. for us. I believe it is. Especially with the, with the equipment that we have. We gotta kind of work with what we have,
Yep.
kind of go from there. But anyway, within 10 days, there's some paperwork I gotta get signed, so I think we need to make a motion that you can sign them outside of a meeting. Is that correct?
I'll make a motion.
Randy makes, John seconds, I'll make it unanimous, so.
Okay, that'll be that. Title VI, so we want to do that now?
Yes, there's a big document in here that the Scott County seal on
You
it.
guys read all those.
Yes,
Yeah.
I didn't even send it out ahead of time because you guys would not even want to start to sift through that. Kevin looked at the sample that the state gave him and
It was big.
so, I guess another hat that I'll wear here at the county is several years ago, the commissioner saw fit to give me the ADA and Title VI coordinator's cap to wear as well. And I have got us pretty much at least NDOT's okay with my ADA work, correct? And what
Yes,
we've
the
got on the
ADA work,
website.
they just didn't have it on file. Not that it was bad, it just wasn't on file.
It just wasn't filed with them,
Yeah.
but Kevin saw to the fact that he notified them and they turned them on to the right documents that we had that had been signed a few years ago for ADA. This is the last half of NDOT's attempt to get all their sub-awardee units into compliance with what the feds came down on NDOT and the state years ago about the Title VI and the ADA compliance reporting, because when you get federal money, you have to meet their guidelines. The state got the federal, it was passed through to a lot of counties, and they wanted their sub-awardees to get in compliance as well. So this is the other half of the puzzle, so to speak. I worked on a plan dated 2020. That is what we should be approving, is something that was older, because if we need to do any updates, we'll date them after the 2020 census results are out. So this is based on the 2010, the current data that we have that's still live until the 2020 census replaces this. There's a lot of statistics in here. It deals with limited English proficiency. It deals with basically any issues with discrimination that we might, you would ever develop a road that would go through a subdivision, say that's the best path. If it's, we'll just use Water's Edge as an example, or it could go around and cut off some other houses that aren't as new and aren't as big and aren't worth as much, that you would really need to do some open meetings and have some very good support as to why you would run it through a less, I guess you'd say high-end, area. So there's some things that you have to look at whenever you're doing projects, not that they're hopefully gonna ever have one like that.
Right.
But, this brings us into the non-discrimination implementation of our plan. This is, again, like John, I'll use his words, this is the beginning, not the end. This is something that's dynamic. It'll be changed over time to suit the census data. It lists the number of bridges we've got in the county. I looked at the census data and got how many people basically are Caucasian and speak English, and who other languages that are spoken here in this county. If we have an area that's gonna be affected that is limited English proficiency, that we have to make sure that we post certain notices and those things. It's kind of detailed, so I'll quit boring you with all that. But if you guys don't wanna read it and you think you trust me enough, this will get Kevin in good graces with NDOT if you will accept this plan. And then any updates or whatever NDOT may ask us to do, we'll bring them to you and get it updated.
What do you think, Kevin, should we trust?
I would trust her with it.
Look at this face, it's not very trustworthy.
And we want him in good graces.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Randy.
Randy makes a motion to accept the title non-discrimination and implementation policy approval. So what, John,
I think I'll second that.
you think? Well, if, I'll make that unanimous if Tammy's truthful and honest.
Yes, and if you ever find me not to be, let me know, and I'll fix it.
All right.
One quick thing, the road studies that I was talking about a few minutes ago. I did receive the signs in for Lake Road that we talked about a while back. Slow signs, pedestrian signs, that's okay without a road study to add those signs?
Road studies are required for speed limit changes, just based on the opinion from the Attorney General, and that statute that applies. For specific sign postings, there's a different, it's not, you don't need an engineering and traffic study, but there's a notice requirement, I believe, so I would have to look
Okay.
You're
that's
saying
fine.
like post it legally for 2 weeks
Yeah,
or so,
I think
saying
so.
that we're gonna post a sign that says,
at. I'll look at it.
speaking of that, you were
Yes.
talking about Lake Road.
Yes.
Did you check on those rumble strip things?
I did,
And I think it's just paint, isn't it?
it must be. I've worked with seal masters, and I can't find exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, they're out of, you know what I'm talking
I
about.
know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know
'Cause
exactly what
actually,
you're talking about.
I was talking to Greg Prince today. Let me see if he knows where.
Yeah, he may know a vendor.
If there's a vendor that does it, or it's just.
It
something-
wasn't any of our vendors that I was talking to. They come up with nothing, but
Okay.
I know it's out there, but I
Yeah.
haven't found it yet.
Are we still looking at a stripe down the middle?
Yeah, that's something we can definitely do. Yeah, I think it'll be spring.
Down the
before we're on
side, I
with that.
don't know which.
And we had talked about, I think the rumble strips, basically what we were saying would be the best thing. So,
So we got like a, I think it's called Mexican Road there
Are those signs considered traffic control signals?
behind,
Christie
are
Road.
they?
yeah,
Christie Road.
yeah, behind Cummins.
Yeah.
Morgan's.
Morgan's,
Yeah,
thanks.
Christie Road.
And anyway, we're having trucks that's driving, big trucks, driving back through there
Oh, really?
for no reason. And they're turning around in some people's driveways back through there. So we wouldn't have to do a traffic study to put a sign that says no semi trucks.
I wouldn't think so. I have to check with Zach on that.
What's that question?
Just to put up a sign that says no semis allowed on a road that has no industry.
Keep
They
big
get
trucks
lost
off
in
our
their
county
GPS
roads.
and they're driving down a road they're not supposed to be on.
Okay.
Turn around and people's private drives and tear
Honestly,
them up.
I don't know the answer to that question. I'm gonna say that the best answer is, you can't just do it. There's gotta be some kind of notice.
Well, I'll throw a wrench in there. I think over the years, and you probably, Steve Myers will probably attest to this. I think some signs got thrown up just to say, hey, let's put a sign up and it doesn't have any legal ramifications at all. It just says, cause I've had people say, there's a no semi sign up there. It never came through anybody. Somebody just put a sign up.
There's
you
some
know.
cases that deal with like illegally erected signs and basically say that the sign, if you can find no local authority to follow the proper procedure to create the signal, the traffic control signal, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, what I think I heard was, to answer his question, was I think we can do this, but we have to give notification before we put
Yes.
signs
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, so it can be done.
Do you have the Indiana manual on uniform traffic control devices?
I don't believe so.
We need to look at that.
Okay.
So, and then back to what you were saying earlier, so to put up a stop sign,
Correct.
you have to just put up notification.
There's, well, and depending on whether it's considered a traffic control device, there's actually a study required for those as well.
Okay.
There's a no semi sign on Lover's Lane off Main Street, which is a city street just so long, and then it just appeared. I mean, it just appeared all of a sudden.
You mean it appears?
It appeared.
That's the way it appears to me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Anybody can put a sign up. It's whether it's enforceable or not. It just deters somebody. Kind of like just like my alarm sign in my yard. It tells you there's an alarm there. Don't mean you're not gonna break in. Go ahead.
Let's see.
Tammy's gotta go. John says he can get her out of here in time.
She's gonna kick me if I talk too much.
Okay. The only other update I got is Green Acres, we did get some rock moved in and staged in there, so just as soon as we get a opportunity, we'll.
What'd you find out more about I think we gave you approval on the brine, didn't we?
Yeah,
What's
I found a vendor for the salt and it wasn't too awful bad. So we're working on that and we got the other 2 things ordered. Should be in hopefully by the end of the month.
I'm excited about that.
So we end up getting 100 tons, so that'll get us quite a ways. We're gonna pick it up, try to save a little money. Down at Consolidated Grain. So, yeah, we're in the process of that. Paving, hopefully within the next 7 or 8 days is what I'm hoping. they had a bad day today, just a lot of breakdowns, nobody's fault really, it just happens.
Where at?
Plant. Yeah. They just, something went down this morning. Everybody was at a standstill till about 11 o'clock, so that always hurts, you know. But
How's the end of the year go with that?
it's went better.
Conversation?
Yeah, it's went better.
Okay.
They've been working with us good, communicating good. This morning, the guy still got 3 loads in, so to get that done and only start at 3 o'clock or 11 o'clock, that's pretty good. So, been having some paper problems. We had some mechanics out there working on that, so hopefully it lasts just a few more days.
New Frankfurt.
Yeah, they're almost a block of the road. So we kind of double passed that. We went in the bad areas. We went through and basically just skinned the top and rolled all that in, and then backed up and went over it again. That way you get good roll on the deep bad spots. So it kind of took double the time on it, but I think it ought to do a lot better, hold up a lot better, I think.
Good deal.
So,
Thank you.
but yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
So,
Yeah.
the 2 trucks, did you trade the 2
Mine
trucks?
next.
No, I haven't been able to make a deal. One, you can't get a truck right now. You
No, I
can't.
know that, but you were talking about saying you thought they still wanted the trucks.
Yes, they do, but I can't find anything to replace them if I did get rid of them. So right now, until we can do the auction, I kind of see where everything kind of unfolds and then make a decision what might work. But right now, there wasn't much I could do with it as far as the money went. That one, you can't even find a truck, you can't order a truck, you can't do nothing right now. This is pretty much, here's a couple that we had, and they was very expensive, and there it was.
And wasn't what you wanted.
And it wasn't what we wanted, so it's just kind of like, let's see. That made me think of something, maybe y'all have heard of this. Govdeals.com. So it's an online auction service. There's a lot of municipalities that use them all over the United States. I got in there and looked at their stuff, but they're wanting us to have the auction through them. I don't know how you feel about it, but it's basically they'll come down, and they said we sold with them a couple of trucks like 11 years ago. Yeah, but you can put it on there, anything you want, and
It's an online.
It's an online. Anybody in the United States or wherever can bid on it, and they actually pay a premium.
What'd you say the name was?
Gov Deals.
Oh, Gov Deals.
Yeah, you can look them up, but they pay the premium for whatever they buy. So if they buy a tractor for $5,000, they pay 10% over. To buy it online, they pay the Gov Deals that, so we get whatever they actually bid on for. But I can look into that before we make a decision. We still got to get it all laid out in process, but it looks like it might be a good deal, at least for now or in the future. So
Sounds good.
I know I've hit you on this twice.
Yeah.
Help me with Wild Rose Lane and Carlisle Lane before.
yes, I did look at Carlisle because I hadn't looked at it yet. We'll get there. That's a pretty good job. That almost needs the paper took out to it and set down.
It's been a year longer.
Yeah, so we're going to get there, but I was hoping it was something maybe me and TJ or something can run out and knock out, but it was big. That was a pretty good job. So
And Wild Rose has basically just got some bad patches.
yeah, Wild Rose, we'll get it.
And I just got
Get it caught up.
today, right there across from Wild Rose, somewhere exactly, I'm not sure, there's apparently like a huge tree, it's like hanging over the road ready to drop.
On Lake Road.
Lake Road,
Lake Road, kinda like out by the.
South Lake, right across from Wild Rose.
Okay,
Wild-
all right.
I think it's Wild Rose.
We'll take a look at it tomorrow, or I'll take a look on the way home.
Is it off Bloomington Trail?
No, Lake Road, South Lake.
South Lake Road, yeah.
You got the old schoolhouse,
Oh, yeah.
and then just past that is Wild Rose Lane.
Oh, where Dave Church built those things.
There's 3 or 4 houses back there, there's a
Yeah.
big cul-de-sac
Yeah.
back there. And there's
Yeah.
just 2 or 3 spots that are pretty bad, and most of them concerned, they think winter's gonna set in and just destroy all of it.
Yeah, we can get those fairly easy. With Carlisle, we'll get it just as soon as we free the paper.
I know you, but I'm gonna bug you.
We'll get them on our list.
But I'll look at that tree overhanging tomorrow myself.
Okay,
You
yeah.
know,
I know I got a few calls on trees today. It's been a going thing.
This one, they seem like, I don't know, I buy there every day and I didn't pay attention to it. but
I know there's a pretty big dead ash sitting there. I mean, it needs to be
Talking about
cut.
on Lake Road? Yeah, I got a phone call on that too.
Did you?
I
Okay.
told him,
There you go, two, Randy, you heard about it? That's three.
So,
Yeah, we got a few today.
Okay, but that's the,
I don't know how
Sounds
you
good.
keep it up.
I'll get out of the way.
You guys do a good job.
Thank you.
Sandy, can, is
Hey, if I don't
there
see
any
you,
way
I'll
we
see
can make
you.
a notification? You're going to put
Call
a
me.
no semis on Mexico.
Andrew, you wanna work?
So make a note for,
Come
to
on up
look
here.
into it.
Notification, send out notification that we're gonna put up
You taking
no
notes?
semis allowed on Mexican.
Christie Road, they call it, no, it's Christie Road, a lot of people call it.
That's your copy, cause that needs to be
Is that called
signed.
Christie?
Yeah,
But it's Christie Road,
okay,
Yeah, because I think in times,
winds all the way around to the highway,
yeah.
and
Cause
that,
they
and
can't
actually,
make that turn down
yeah, I know it.
there.
And I expect they probably, when they hit the railroad tracks, they probably bottom out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never done this before, so let me get with Zach to make sure I get the right thing in the paper, or whatever I'm supposed to do, or post it, or whatever, but, yeah, I'll keep a separate note out.
thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We'll see how trustworthy you are.
I know, look at his face, it looks like a criminal.
It depends on what time we get out of here tonight, how
Hey,
trustworthy.
yeah, I'll make it bad on you here in a minute.
What time we gotta leave? What time we gotta?
I get
Still got 30 minutes.
no, not exact, about 20. Yeah.
20? Okay.
Okay, well, I'll be the
Good
quickest.
job, thank you.
I'll be the quickest.
Yes.
So VA is moving into the old health department. Of course, we gotta get utilities up there. I contacted the city. We are looking at a $349.60 increase a month for having dark fiber pushed out there. They are going to throw that onto our current contract, the remaining, so that's it.
We're gonna have that for the VA also.
Yep.
Yeah.
Internet, and also we are going to allow Thrive to piggyback off that. They will be on a secondary network where they're not a county entity. They'll be on their secondary network where their devices or anything will not touch back into our networks here, servers or anything. So they'll have full internet privileges. They'll just be locked down to their stuff.
Now,
Yeah.
all the utilities are on out there now,
Yes, I was
Yeah.
out there today, yeah.
and they're, I think, we're gonna find out we have to have some kind of a new doorway built, and maybe another door put in down the middle hallway there,
that's
just for
why I was out
separation of
there.
security. to me.
Josh called me and asked me to go out there, and I think it's a simple fix of, he wants to change that one right there at the end of that reception area, move it down to the other,
Move the door
actually, he
down.
wants to move it into that other room where that, the door goes out the back door. He wants,
Well, I don't know, I haven't talked to Josh.
that's what he said the VA was wanting, they want that door in that room, cause they want that to be kind of the entrance way into their facility, and that would be an entryway into that office space. But as far as, and this is my suggestion to Josh today was, and since, you know, the master's back there, is not to build a wall in that hallway, but to put a secure door where at any time you could, it'd be dead bolted. So, but if we ever need to get one way or the other, or they need to be, hey, I need, you know, over here, or they need it over there, that it wouldn't be a wall there, it'd just be a door that could
Someone
be.
comes up in wheelchair and needs to get up the
Yeah.
ramp to Thrive, that would be a
That's-
good solution.
When I was talking to Denise, and you guys gotta work this out really, when you come in the front door and then you go down the hallway, there's a little office on the left, there's a door right there. And, she was trying to figure out how to, put the door, utilize it and be able to use that room. She was talking about having to take that door to the left and move the whole door back a little bit to have access to that room for security issues. You guys, I think that all of you need to get together on that.
Yeah, I haven't been in there for a while. I have no clue about
Josh
doors
did,
moving and
Josh
stuff.
did,
And
he just didn't want to not be knocking stuff down and doing stuff without somebody knowing about it. And I told him, I
yeah,
think, I just didn't want a wall down that hallway And if you just put a steel door there or something, or I
Yeah.
don't care, a regular
That's a
door,
good
and
idea.
say,
Yeah.
hey, you can open it, close it whenever. And like I said, there's a handicap thing at the end of the building, and they can come through and go straight through the hallway and be done, so.
And I'll show, you need to get with Denise and him together, I think.
Yeah.
So it makes it-
I think you're good.
Yeah.
I thought about what you were talking about, something, and I talked to Denise about it. You were talking about some kind of like stone or something.
Yeah.
Just a thought, it's probably like the schools do, they can take the whole front end glassed area and put that stuff on the front. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
She thought that might work. Just a thought, I'm just throwing that out there.
No, I'm all for it.
And also,
I just wanna make them proud that that's their building.
Yeah.
Also, just FYI, I talked to the hospital today, and they're fine with us parking out there, so that's the end of that story.
And one more thing too, we
No.
do, sorry, it's real quick. There's 2 analog phone lines right in service right now. VA will be using IP phones that touches back to their network. The 2 analogs, one for their fax machine, and Denise has a hearing impaired, might say this wrong, caption telephone for veterans and everything, and there's not an analog line here to demo it. Over there is. So they're going to take up 2 analog phone lines, which I was going to let Thrive use, but instead, I think if it's okay with you guys, I'm not sure how to word this correctly, donate, or the county purchases a couple IP phones so they can have phone service also, which would be probably just a couple $100. So,
I'm good.
okay. Sounds good.
Somebody make a motion to
No,
add the
we'll
old
just
health.
consensus.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to.
Yes, Randy did.
And if
Randy
you-
made a motion to allow the purchase of 2 and whatever phones.
Then
No,
the,
not the phone,
John made-
the service contract, they didn't.
Service
move on
contract.
Oh, we haven't got that far yet.
Oh, no,
Oh,
that was for the.
All right, this in front of us is the add-on to the fiber optic for the city, so.
Correct.
It's $334, so,
Per month.
per month.
per month, that's additional. I did talk to Teresa. Of course, this year's about to close out before we probably won't even get a bill until next year, even if we get in this year. I did talk to Teresa, and she said, I did ask for an additional next year because this was just like pay surprise at the end of the year. And she said we could probably do it. It's no
So I
problem.
need to entertain a
I'll make a
motion.
motion to
Randy makes a motion to, add the,
analog.
or no, this is.
Fiber.
Fiber optic
Fiber optic.
for the VA building, add it to the city utilities.
And that is adding on to the current contract.
Yeah.
So it's not an additional 60 days or 60 months.
I'll second.
John seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, and where do I sign that?
All the X's.
All of them?
Mm-hmm.
And then, if it's okay with you guys, I'll just make it consensus that you're okay to let him get 2 more new phones for now.
Yes.
Yeah,
That-
I've got my budget. It's no problem. I can grab them quick from 360 and hook them up. They'll be good to go.
I figured the front door out.
Oh, you did?
You guys embarrassed me.
Well, I mean, as long, hey, as long.
I did the wrong way, I hit the wave thing.
Oh, first, yeah, you gotta,
Yeah.
yep.
So on the back here too?
Yep, all the X's, please. Then I'm hoping for a month max that they've got the fiber in there and we're ready to go. So, and it could be quicker than that.
When you start to sign, pass that down and sign, I'm signing the middle, and that's that
You
Title
want me all
6.
sign it?
Yes, you all, that's my Title.
Thank you, sir.
6 stuff.
Thank you, guys.
I'm not sending the whole document.
Got any more questions for me?
No, I don't believe so.
Appreciate it.
Not with the way Tammy's
That's
looking at
Title
us.
6.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yes.
You're still on my favorite list now.
Jeffrey,
Yeah, she says that now.
Yes, John's starting to fall off.
Tammy's gonna start using my middle name.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Kind of showed this to John earlier today, but Andrew reached out to the company that does the security for the courthouse and the jail and everybody. We'll see one.
Sure.
To add security to my building and correction side. And me and John talked about it, and me and Andrew just talked about it. we're probably gonna take one of those off, that very rear door facing the back parking lot. I don't see the need for a badge reader, so
Does anybody come in there?
usually just me and Bonnie from Pact are the only two. And that depends on the parking lot over there, because usually Jerry's people has it full. So I've been using the side garage door when I come in. So we're gonna probably take that off, just put a self-locking knob on it. And that'll do away with a bunch of keys floating around that's out there now. The other two on the front of the buildings, I'd still like to see done. Corrections want to see it done. So it's gonna reduce the price, Andrew said, pretty drastically.
So are you down to 3 doors now, Jeff? Is it 3 that will need readers?
It's 3 doors, but we're gonna take one off, so
Okay,
we're
so
just
now
gonna
you're
go
down
down
to
to 2 doors.
So the door in the back of the
In the back of the garage,
garage,
we're just, like Andrew said, we can just put a self-locking. Every time it shuts, it automatically locks.
but
Keyed
is
entry.
there a outdoor back door
Yeah.
outside? No, but that's where I'm getting confused, because if you go in the back, in the garage, there's a door that goes in there, but then you're saying there's a door that if you open it up, you're staying outside.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the rear parking lot. We was gonna put a card reader on that, but I don't really see it necessary.
I don't see
As
it.
long as it's self-locked.
As long as John can get in and be all
Yeah,
right.
it'll self-lock. We can issue the keys to who we think need
There's some
access
cameras
to
out
it.
there too.
No, it's over
Yeah.
there.
I showed John there's a camera on that door anyway. So,
I mean, it's
No, it's in the 911 center.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
in the joining, but.
in the 911 center, that way we can, there's people not just walking into our front lobby or corrections front lobby.
Whether off the street or.
Yeah. And they'll have buttons, corrections will have button, we'll have a button like we do to open our inner door.
So you're talking, corrections has a reader too?
They're going to.
So okay, that's where
This includes both sides,
so two front doors,
2 front doors.
one one door in the garage.
We're gonna take that off,
So you're taking that off. So the only things that'll have a scanner is the front 2 doors.
the front 2 doors.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
And
No.
that's you and them splitting the cost.
Yeah,
You and corrections splitting the cost.
I'm good with that.
When you say corrections, you mean
community corrections.
community
Corrections
corrections?
is on the right, 911's on the left.
They're under the judge's control.
Yeah, and the judges are
Uh,
informed of this?
That'd be all
Right now, their front
Corrections
door
are
is
you guys.
completely sealed off.
You guys are
They,
correct.
their clients come to the front door and get their temperature taken through the plexiglass, and then they come around and come through my
Probation's
door.
judges.
They're up-
Community
they're
corrections
in here.
operations.
Yeah. Corrections.
Those are the ones that chase the guys with home detention.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know what community corrections is, I'm trying to figure out exactly what buildings we're talking about, cause.
It's over here, the
Okay.
corner.
Corner.
Corner and the
corner.
next one.
Alright. Okay.
because right now, everybody, even their clients are coming through my front
Yeah.
door.
They have like
My-
identical store
My,
front.
my only point is that,
For COVID reasons,
if it has something to do with,
when that was,
like
Yeah, but
safety
they keep that
protocols or
double
whatever
door
in
locked.
this building.
But this way,
or
they
any
could
building
buzz them
where
in
Judges have somebody,
after they
who's under death
temperature
row as an
check them.
office,
And
or the sheriff has somebody, either one of those entities would need to be, they need to be talked to about changing the safety protocols, is my only.
Exactly, and I think with this arrangement, there's nobody that's from either courts or the sheriff's department
Okay.
that occupies
No.
any space in these 2 areas.
I'm fine, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, I didn't think about that, but that's.
No, the only person other than corrections that's over there is the PAC office, and they let them use one of their offices on the corrections side. Bonnie Nettifer with PAC, she occupies one of their offices at corrections to do the restraining orders.
Randy made a motion to accept Andrew's quote here, and John?
and I'm for that, but maybe before I make that vote, you did explain how it's gonna be paid for.
Amanda with corrections said that they have a fund that they can pay for half, and then we'll have to see how much the price reduces. And then I should be able to pay for, out of
It's
my,
not an
Out of
addition.
budgeted
It's not an
money.
addition.
yeah, out of
Not
budget
an
money.
addition. I'll second the motion.
I'll make that unanimous, so. You need anything signed or?
No, at last meeting, about that grant, I forgot to get that grant paper signed. Did Teresa talk to you?
No, I've been kind of like
Yeah.
crazy lately, so she hasn't
Yeah.
said anything to me, but we'll get,
The grant that you came in there and asked us
Yeah.
to approve?
I think.
Yeah,
I thought we signed it then.
I've
Well,
got
I
a copy,
didn't-
I passed it on to her to take to council.
okay,
I think I
I think we're
signed
good.
it.
but you did sign it,
Yes, he
that's
did,
all.
yes.
Next Tuesday, you guys are more than welcome. We got District 9, we're hosting District 9 EMA Directors Meeting. It'll be out of the EMS Training Building. Usually representative from NDOT and Homeland Security and all that, and all the District 9 EMA directors are there. If you wanna come out, starts at 10. We got a sponsor for pizza for lunch, so you can come out and kinda,
Next Tuesday.
next Tuesday, the 9th, yeah.
What time?
10 o'clock. Be out at the EMS training room.
All right.
Because, like I said, usually the executive director for Homeland Security shows up and DOT, and in case you wanna come out and ask some questions or whatever, have lunch.
All right, sounds good.
I got my window replaced that John said I wrecked.
I think John broke it.
Probably.
Thought about it.
But it's replaced. I think that's all I got. Me and you talked about the radios.
Actually, I had a meeting with, the commissioner in Harrison County, and he was pretty thrilled about that radio system as well, and they've already purchased it, so.
I will be programming a radio for Kevin. Me and him talked. And I think Kevin, being the highway superintendent, should have a decent working radio to contact us. And Mike asked about Ben having one.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get him one, get Ben's, well, it in any way be
He
set up
doesn't
on
need
that.
all that stuff on it, so.
Yeah. And I'll have to talk to Jerry and see if he's okay with him having his channel in there in case he needs to yell for help, but I don't think it'll be an issue.
Yeah.
And the last thing I got is, I've been working with Marty and Carmen about an issue out on Lake Road by the firehouse. Jim Boswell, post office, is insisting that he change his address. Well, it's a 911 issued address. And there is an issue out there, and I'm working with Marty and Carmen to set up a meeting. I'd like to have the mayor, maybe you guys, and somebody from city council, because it's all mixed in there together. As soon as I get a date, I'll let you know, but to try to resolve that issue.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, that's all I got for you. If you got anything for me.
No? Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're doing a fine job, young man.
Don't.
I was getting ready to say,
He'll
yeah.
start swelling up.
Yeah, his head get bigger. Public Defender Board appointment. Anybody have an opportunity or wanna talk about somebody or not, or? I do have a person I have in mind, so. Pardon? We can, if that's what you wanna do. Huh? Did you say you wanted to put a hold on it?
I mean,
I couldn't hear,
we
I'm sorry.
can't move on tonight anyway, right? So,
You could,
You could.
Yeah.
you could,
well, who do you have?
because you accepted his resignation already.
Yeah. Don, do you have anybody you thinking about? I'm
Well,
gonna throw out-
Stacy Mullins, I'll throw that one out. That's all.
Oh.
Newcastle recommended Stacy Mullins. He's the one that's left.
I'm gonna throw out a name, and I guess, I'm gonna throw out a name, and we can wait till next meeting to vote on it. You can think about it and look them up or talk to them or whatever, but, I hadn't heard about Stacy Mullins, but, I do know her. My name is, Christian Evans, and, I've talked to him, so
Is he on board?
he's willing to to do it as well, so that's where I'm at. So we've thrown a couple names out. If somebody's got something else, I guess we can just table it till next week. I don't think it's anything,
I think Joey recommends Stacy, that's why I brought that up.
it's not a,
It would probably be good just to have some, maybe not like an in-person statement, but just some kind of statement that the individual meets the qualifications under IC 3340.
I think you sent that to us, didn't you? I saw some paperwork that said, here's what the qualifications are. You can't be a felon and some other.
It's a city, a town, or a county attorney, a law enforcement officer, a judge, a court employee, an attorney who provides representation to indigent persons in the county or region managed by the public. So somebody in Scott County. An employee of the Department of Child Services or an employee individual described in one of those.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to figure out, on that board now, I think it's Chris Dark, and who else is on that board? Besides Joey was on there. I don't know how many people's even on the board.
Three.
Three,
It's,
so it'd be Chris.
It's the guy from Austin.
Well, Joey was on there.
I never think of his name.
I don't know.
I can think, I can see him, but I can't think of his name. It's not Ishmael, but it's another one that, it's always into everything up there.
Curtis
I didn't hear you?
Curtis
No.
I've asked you this question
This is,
before, did we discuss this the other day, who was on that board?
This guy's on a lot of boards and stuff, and he's,
I don't even think it pays anything, does it?
No, we only have one appointment. The
Yeah.
Indiana Public Defender Commission appoints one, and then the local board of judges appoints.
And what would be the requirements for us if we appointed somebody? What are the requirements?
They just can't be any of those things that I named. And then there's also kind of a requirement that they have demonstrated interest in high quality legal representation for indigent people.
Now, I missed it, you said the requirements, and you said you just named them, I missed
You cannot be a city, town, or county attorney, a law enforcement officer, a judge, a court employee, an attorney who provides representation. So somebody from the public defender's office cannot be on the board.
All right,
Regal.
I'm sorry,
Regal.
Rick?
No, not Rick. And the Regal might not be,
An employee of the Department of Child Services or an employee of any of those that I just named.
Yeah.
it's not.
Basically, you want to avoid people who have a stake.
Well, I don't know what matters, I just don't,
Yeah, I can't.
we don't deal with that very much.
No, I actually didn't know it was a board, so.
If you guys want to know anything else, I was trying to do due diligence on making sure that we are hitting all the spots that we're supposed to be getting.
If, you wanna wait, we can wait. I mean, it's,
I think we ought to, just.
Okay.
that's fine. We'll table it.
Yeah.
All right.
Just access or request just kind of
Okay,
a statement that they meet the requirements.
So do they need to post a statement or saying, hey, I'm not all these things and I'm
Yeah,
qualified to be?
just to make sure.
Okay, all right.
But she may not want it.
It's not like they have to post it, but
No, that's
just
Al Riggle.
send it.
I think he's on that board.
She's not from Austin.
Tammy, maybe.
Well, I don't, but I think he's on that board.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's
All right,
okay. That's
ratification of the sheriff's department vehicle trade and purchase.
okay. I put a piece of paper in y'all's packet.
That's the one
It was a
I told you about the other
2016
day.
Chevy Tahoe that was traded in, and then against the purchase of a 2014 Ram 1500 truck. And that's just ratifying that. I just need that for a matter of record in the minutes.
That's fine. I'll entertain a motion to accept, the new vehicle and the other one was traded in, so.
So it is traded in,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
off?
Yeah, it's
I
traded
verified
right there.
that.
Yes, I will.
I'll second her nomination.
Rennie makes a motion to accept the trade, John seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. Group health, dental, vision, life coverage renewal for 2022.
There's a letter in your packet, plus an extra little piece of paper right behind it that has to do with just basically a history Mike knows more history because he's on the insurance committee. I sit on there just by virtue, but I don't vote. The thing in a nutshell is that originally, whenever we were shopped again, so to speak, with our own insurance company, our broker was given an increase of 17% to re-up with United Healthcare for our employees' group health, dental, and vision insurances. They went back to them and said, hey, look, worked out there, used all of our credits, used any unclaimed premiums. There's a little thing, I won't go into that, but that can be forwarded to the next year against credits that we might have, and got a renewal rate of 6%. Typically, as you can see in the letter, it says the Board of Commissioners has elected to approve the recommendation of the insurance committee and renew the medical with the United Healthcare. If we shop, they're going to pick up more data on us than exists right now, and we run the risk of a much higher increase since we were shopped with our own company and got a 17%. If we go looking for a renewal somewhere else, it may go up. If you guys so move to renew and keep our current coverage just as it is, the plans stay the same. Note the dental and vision do not have any premium changes. This is also broken down by percentages now. Instead of the county paying just a dollar amount and the employee paying a certain dollar amount, it's a 80-20 split on the premium. It's a 90-95, 90-10, 95, depending on the plan you pick, and whether you've got family or employee spouse or your single coverage. So with the 6% will be shared. My whole point is that we'll take the 95% of the 6 and the employee will get the 5% of the 6% increase. Does that make sense? So it's gonna be across the board, everybody's premium will go up. That's paid, employee side and county. The county's not gonna shoulder the whole burden of this increase. If you guys so move, I would ask that you waive the insurance committee meeting requirement before action's taken by the commissioners. That makes sense, Zach? Because typically we run this by the time our renewal's coming in kind of early, and we try to do open enrollment in third week of November. So if you guys feel like this is a good deal and don't want to have our broker shop, then if you so move, just say that you're going to waive the insurance committee recommendation and just go ahead and elect to renew.
So the 6% increase that we're going to get for medical only, because it doesn't look like vision or the dental raised.
No.
So on the 6% increase in the medical plan, the county government is going to pay the 95% of the 6%, and the 5% will be moved on to the employee.
Whatever increase will be, it'll just be the increase, and then we'll split it back out by the percentages that we have. So, if it could be the county sees a 4% increase and the employee will see a 2% increase in the premium if you're dividing out by what we
So we're
divide
taking
out.
the biggest hit on.
Yeah, you still will take the biggest hit because you take the biggest hit on the premium anyway.
All right, well, I'm gonna be in favor of doing it right now, because if you shop, you take the chance of being astronomical, so.
And right now with,
And I'm not making that,
I'll
you
make
guys
that
make that motion, so.
I'll
So the
make that
motion
motion
has to
to-
be that we're gonna bypass the insurance committee and.
Which you're on
There-
that, right?
Yes, I'm on
Theirs
it.
is just a recommendation anyways. and
Yeah, it's not
a
exact.
Yeah, it's not binding, but we're gonna, I guess the motion needs to include that we're gonna bypass or waive
yeah,
the insurance committee and
Yeah,
accept the,
review, right.
accept
Well,
the.
let me take a stab
I
at
mean,
this.
in my experience, everything's going up, so
It
I
is.
moved to.
It is. I'll make the motion to waive the recommendation from the insurance committee to do this.
All right, I'll try to clean that up. John made a motion to waive the insurance board's approval of the 2022 insurance renewal and accept the new universal health care coverage for 2022. 6% increase. And I'll go ahead and add it. 95% of that will be incurred by the county and 5% will roll to the employees, so.
Depending on the plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Randy seconds that,
Second.
and I'll make that unanimous.
Okay, and then if Mike, you'll sign that letter in your packet, and I'll put it down here with the stuff that I need to get back to you that you see.
All right, moving right along, slower in my glasses. Attorney comments, Rucker contract.
So, if it's okay, I'm gonna talk about the Thrive agreement first. That's, since we amended the agenda, just go straight to that one. So Mr. Stuckey you've gotten approval to sign on from the board, for the agreement. Everybody should have a copy of the agreement. One of them. It's essentially a lease agreement without a requirement for payment of utilities or rent, for the duration of 1 year. The copy everybody has says it ends on December 31st. I would just ask that you all, if you approve it you've approved them moving into that spot, but, that location, but, this particular agreement, just with the amendment that it's till November 1st of 2022. I think that's how it was stated at the last meeting, so that's.
If I'm reading this right, start November 1st, 2021, end December 31st, 2022.
That's why I'm saying amend.
Oh, amend it.
Approve as amended,
Okay.
with the end date to be November
Okay.
1st of 2022.
Instead of December.
Yep.
Yeah. So you just need to make a motion to do that?
Make a motion to have, to authorize, Mr. Jones to
Yeah, we'll
sign
wait.
outside of the meeting.
We'll wait till the chairman gets back in here. I'm all for it.
My second.
Yeah. You'll be right back.
So John, this one thing, you agreed to let Mike sign outside of me, and you second, and then we'll
Yeah.
vote when he gets back.
Yeah.
He left, I think, just to keep you in there longer.
I think so. No, I'm gonna have to bail, like, no.
Okay.
Yes, John, are you gonna?
I don't know how to do that thing. You're talking around the
I
guy.
told you to speed this up, or you
I
just want
told
me to
you
do
earlier,
it?
I said, you need to talk to somebody who knows what
See,
they're doing.
Randy, no, he sits too far away from me, He's smart, he sits too far away from me.
Just let it run, you'll just have to write crickets tomorrow, about midnight tonight.
Which button you hit?
Andrew's here, so he can turn the computer off, right?
Which button you hit? Okay.
And I got
You
back,
can't leave,
it's a
Andrew.
good thing, it's a good thing. Okay, you guys can just,
Just means you won't come in. till
Here.
2.
Covered bridge.
oh, I got claims to sign, and, my. This is FMLA, you guys. That's an extension request, it's not an actual
One person?
FMLA. One person, extend unpaid medical leave, that way you know what we're talking about.
Where'd he go? This is like a federal job.
I don't know.
While
And
we're waiting on him, I want to say thank you for taking care of our veterans. You're so back, very important.
Thank you. We all had every excuse to do that.
Alright, jeez. Alright, I think I'm trying to leave.
So you think you're covered, and Andrew, if you shut it off,
Andrew knows how to shut that off.
and you'll know what to do.
And then you guys need to, if you approve minutes, you make them sign this minute book, because you need that for Stryker. Okay, so I'll turn the pages.
Yeah, that's just FMLA.
Right here. And then I'll scan them
I'll make a
tomorrow.
motion to pass the FMLA.
I'll second that.
Assuming that they approve this
Make
part,
that unanimous. Is there just one?
can I leave this copy with you and you just email me?
Mhm.
Because your signature goes
Do
there.
you want me to sign ahead of time, and then then it's done, if not, you can throw it away.
Sure.
How's that, will that work for you?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Is that a problem?
No, that's not what. It's, the agreement's already been approved.
wanna do that, and that way you're good.
Could you,
There you go, Tom.
Okay.
oh, but you have to witness their signatures.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Okay. We won't, witness this.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. Can we table the Thrive agreement real quick and just move straight to the striker? I know there was a
Yeah.
motion on the table, but, return to that in a second. The striker contract was approved essentially, but there's, one last piece. We had to get, the insurance company to, approve the amended and notice that basically they had coverage for each of those pieces of equipment. The final thing is a signature from each of you with a title on the state and local government rider with Tammy's signature on there. So there's just those pieces. I'm sorry.
We've already approved this already, haven't we?
That's correct.
And, we have to have that stuff out there by the 8th, is that right?
That's what I'm trying to.
So you'll
We
make the-
just received the, I think yesterday from the insurance provider. So
Well, I'm just wanting to make sure, you're gonna make phone calls out to, out there to make sure it's done on time, okay?
yes,
There's no motion or action on this, this is just
We've
signing.
already
just,
done it.
just signing and yeah, it's already been.
You gotta sign it too,
Approved
John.
You need me to
All
sign
three
it?
of us need to sign.
Yeah, there's a.
And then I have to sign after you guys get done signing up, I finish this.
Just hang in there, Phil.
Feel better?
Yes, I do.
It's
Randy's got to sign.
sign.
Randy is fine. Sign your life away.
Okay, Marty, you're on gonna be me. Okay, okay.
Just don't touch anything.
Whenever.
There'll be something in your check.
Thank you, Marty. I just kinda, all right. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, she does shorthand, so you won't be able to read it, so.
Make them sign
You
those
can write
books.
a dash.
Okay.
Make them sign those books.
That's
These are the
very
claims,
correct.
and then they need to sign these.
Okay.
And then there's that FMLA in there, but I think they've already looked at it.
We already did that.
Really quickly.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And I need to thank you guys, I'm sorry, I really
Thank you.
apologize.
All right. John
First
kept
time in
talking,
7
John kept
years.
talking, and
Yes.
I knew he wouldn't let you out of
John,
here.
I'm telling you what, I'm gonna
Yeah,
get a
she
switch
needs to be in here,
installed.
she ain't got time to go out and mess around. Yeah, work.
All right, and then the date it.
Yep.
There's the 3rd. There you go.
right,
All
thank
right,
you.
awesome, you guys be careful, and we'll see you later.
All right.
And and also making sure they sign their notebook, because you need that for strike. Mom's leaving.
Right.
So, there
Back to you,
was-
Zach.
There was a motion on the table for approval of the Thrive MOU, just the language in it, with, as amended, to make the end date November 1st of 2022.
Yeah. Right there, he just wanted that changed to November.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The month was wrong.
Motion made by,
I made a motion, I think, and Randy seconded.
I'll make that unanimous. So, you need to sign one of these?
Just to, it's to sign outside of the meeting, so
Okay.
we can,
Cause you gotta rewrite this.
and, I'll give you a copy and you can sign, we're good. We've done the striker contract, okay, so ordinance, I don't know what number we're on. 'Cause
well,
Tammy
it says
knows.
resolution instead of ordinance.
No, it
So,
says ordinance.
Yeah,
No,
the
Well,
agenda says
this
resolution.
Yeah, this is an ordinance.
This
it is an ordinance.
Yeah, so,
Tammy,
Get her back in there.
what's the ordinance number?
It's gonna be 2020. I think it's on your agenda. Did I put it on the agenda?
it says.
Yes, you did.
2021-020.
Yeah.
See, if you leave, we
Even
won't,
for ordinance or
we might as well call it
Resolution or
green
ordinance, I
help.
keep them just all in order.
all in order? Okay,
Yeah.
20.
All right, thank you.
All right. Okay, so, this is kind of the draft of an ordinance. The commissioners are given statutory authority over supervision and care of county property. That would include both real property and other types of property, including vehicles. Basically, in order to reduce the cost of repair and maintenance associated with maintaining the county's vehicles, there's a proposal to limit the use of county vehicles by certain designated employees. Those are all defined inside of the document as part-time, and I've used the definitions that come from the employment handbook for those. It has to do with personal use outside of the county, basically to limit driving long distances for those vehicles. It does not include driving outside of the county while on county business or during the work day for county business. And it would allow department heads to designate locations to leave county vehicles if necessary, depending on which department. I don't know exactly where they would park those, but it seems reasonable at this time to let the department heads decide that. Obviously does not apply at all to regular full-time employees as defined in the handbook and this ordinance, and it does not apply to elected officials because they are not employees.
I'll make a motion. You voted against it. Voted against it.
Actually, we need to make a motion before we do that. So we at that point, are you?
You can discuss or put the motion on the table to adopt this. Just know that it is an ordinance. This is its
First
meeting where
reading.
it's been first introduced. If it does not pass unanimously, it would have to roll over to the next meeting for a second reading.
So do we need to read the ordinance in its entirety, or do you just think we know what it is? So I guess we could just say we're going to accept the ordinance 2022 or 2021-0.
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay,
can go.
I'll make a
I can
motion.
go
I'll make a
through each of
motion.
the sections.
No, that's fine. We don't need that. I'm gonna make a motion to accept the ordinance number 2021-020. It says, it's an adoption of a policy prohibiting the take-home vehicles for any county employee or position other than the regular full-time employees. So that's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Randy's gonna second that motion.
And I'm gonna vote nay, not necessarily so much against this, but I think there's, might be, some things I'd like to change on before it gets to that point. So my vote's no for today. It may, I mean, I may change it.
I guess my question is, what do you wanna change? Because
Randy, go ahead.
Some of the things is, there is, some people, I think, there might be a purpose in having one that may not be in this, with this ordinance would fulfill, and, I also would like to see the possibility that, any county department head, if they had an issue, they could come in and ask, in other words, not an appeal process, but come in and say, this is what I'd like to do, and have us vote on it, rather than just do a blanket no.
well, the reason and I'm gonna go back to the reason why this is even being adopted or trying to be presented, I guess I should say, is that if you're a full-time employee, then I don't have a problem with someone driving our vehicle out of the county to their house. But if you're a part-time employee, I don't see the need for us to supply a part-time person while off duty or driving to and from their home a vehicle. So that's the need for the whole ordinance here, is that, you know, in this day and age of liability and wear and tear and cost of fuel and everything else, that's where I'm you know, that's where I was in favor of having this type of ordinance that would save the county money and exposure and that's the whole crust of the ordinance in the first place. But if, John, you're gonna vote no.
I'm gonna vote no.
Then,
At least on this, on the first. It's gotta go 3, is that what it is?
2 readings required.
Okay.
So do we need to sign this that we voted in yay and then he votes no,
No,
or we
no.
just say it'll go to the next meeting?
It'll roll over to the next meeting.
Okay,
I'd
all right.
like, you know, have people. be
So
able
I guess John, okay, let me back up, because Randy voted yes on the ordinance, John voted,
It's passed on the first reading essentially, but you need a second reading.
okay.
So,
So, Randy voted yes on the ordinance, John voted no at this time, and I'm gonna vote yes, so, it'll move on to the next meeting, so.
in terms of, because I said would you like to, under policy, section 2A, you want the ordinance to distinguish between part-time employees. It's at this time, it's only distinguishing between employees as defined in the handbook. So regular, full-time, you're either regular, full-time, or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you want me to do anything different with that?
Well, I like the department, if they wanna come in and have their say about it, I'd like to have that opportunity to come in and explain why they do what they do. And, then if they have some positions, I think, could be sensitive, but at least, have the right to say, this is what I'm doing, and we'll go from there. Rather than just say no, I think they can always come in and say, this is what I'd like to do, maybe in a, and we could always say no. That's just my opinion.
So,
Is that all you got? We'll move it on to the next meeting?
yeah, that'll roll over.
Okay, the next thing on here is the Leota Covered Bridge roof repair quote,
That
and
one,
I'm gonna ask is, did we only get one quote?
well, let me explain this to you. Yeah, we did. And yeah, that's okay too. Here's the quote.
I got it.
You got one?
You got it? Yeah.
During the Leota Frolic, Alan Ritchie and, Gene, or Arbuckle, some of them guys said they wanted something done with that bridge down there. And I was good with that, and I came in and checked with Teresa, and she showed us what we had and their money to pay for it. There's a special fund just for that, and there's,
Actually, don't we get money from the state because of that covered bridge?
well, the fund, no, I don't, they could. She only told me we get so much money a year for this fund. That may be where it's
I
coming from.
think we get some from the
But there's
state.
about 36,000 in the fund, and, I said, well, get us some quotes to Alan, and, tell me who you want. I said, all I want to do is local. Now, I thought they could do it, but, apparently it's our obligation to do this, and that's the quote they gave, and who they said they wanted was at that price, and that's what we got. So it's whatever.
Well, if somebody's saying it needs a new roof, then I believe that it
It-
probably needs a new roof. And I do know, or I'm almost positive that the state pays counties that have covered bridges a
Right.
certain award every year, I guess.
Well, it's probably that amount that's on that paper we got.
The only thing, and this is where I'm gonna go, because I'm gonna be a Randy right now.
Okay.
I'd like to have at least another estimate besides one, and I'm not even gonna say who this estimate is, but I'd like to see somebody else put in an estimate, and then, whoever it is, as long as they're apples to apples, then I think I'm good with it, so.
I agree.
I mean, it sounds like we got the money in the fund to pay for it, and, and it's under a certain amount, so I don't know that we have to put it in the paper bidding it, but I
I'm
would.
trying to look, there's a threshold requirement at 15,000, but I can't remember what
I thought it was 50.
50 is, there's 3 steps, I think.
But again, I would like to see at least another estimate, and if it's somebody that we need to reach out to and say, hey, can you go out there and get us an estimate? I think, you know.
And I don't know if who else Alan talked to or anything else, they just sent me this and said that's, so, whatever.
Okay, I'm gonna get a hold of somebody that I know, and if somebody else wants to get a hold of somebody they know and see if they wanna put a bid in on it, I think that'd be the right thing to do.
You're definitely right. It's
50?
Well,
Wow,
then we,
right once tonight.
at least we need to do this, if you guys agree, I think attorney agree with this, we need to keep these,
Yes,
private.
I would.
We need to keep these private, we don't want other bidders to know what's
Yes,
in this.
yeah.
Right.
So,
But we do need to know that if we're asking somebody else, if it's apples to apples, so it looks like it's a metal roof.
yeah, it was.
Okay,
The
so
only
that's,
thing, when I talked to her today, she don't know what color he wanted, I said, well, I'm not even going there. Something, that's,
I get that.
yeah.
All right, moving on. Consideration of the regular monthly claims. Everybody had an opportunity to see the claims that they sent you in your email.
Yeah.
Randy,
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Randy makes a motion.
And I'll second it.
John seconds that. I'll make that unanimous. If I can find where to sign. All right, consideration of claims for payable to the fire service. Let me look at that. I don't know
We
what-
actually need to solicit 3 quotes for that last one. I'm sorry, so there is a 3-step, so it's.
You're talking about the fire service?
The covered bridge, so we need 3, cause it's less than 50,000, so it's,
Three bidders?
yep. Yeah, cause the step goes from 50,000, then it's 50,000 to 150,000, and then exceeds 150,000.
Okay, all right, we can get that. Again, consideration of the claims payable to fire service, and I have, looks like a, fire service, St. John, Indiana, one here for $10,000. Looks like 4 sets of fire protection gear ordered by the Lexington Fire Department. Portion of the purchase of 14-inch power bunker boots.
That's redevelopment money is what it is.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So is it just a pass through to us?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm gonna group these all together because another $10,000 to the Johnson Fire Department.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought there was 3, but there's only 2.
They're all
So-
not in yet, actually.
So there's 2 of them that are, looks like the redevelopment, I see it up here at the top. It says on the account appropriate from the redevelopment TIF fund. Looks like, a $10,000 award to, Lexington Fire Department and a $10,000 award to Johnson Fire Department for turnout gear. So I'll entertain a motion to accept those 2, payroll.
I'll make motion.
I'll second that.
John makes a motion, I'll second, Randy seconds, I'll make it unanimous.
And the other ones will have some coming in.
Yeah. Payroll ratification for October 22nd, 2021. Everybody had an opportunity to look at the payroll.
Yes.
John,
Yeah, I'm good for
I'll
it.
entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Randy makes a motion.
Second.
John seconds that. I'll make that unanimous. Consideration of the minutes for October 6th and October the 19th regular meeting. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
John makes a motion, Randy seconds it, I'll make that unanimous. Transfer station manager position. I think the applications are in, or actually all the applications are in your folder, so I guess, let's look those over and, I guess I'm a question right now, does anybody want to have an interview session with anybody, or do you want to just, are you good with something where you can just pick someone out of the group?
I'll tell you the truth, I haven't looked at them, see, except the ones that some may have been in before, I haven't marked this up.
Well, let's do this then. If you haven't looked at them, then why don't we do this? You look them over. By the time our next meeting is, we'll either decide to vote that night on an individual, or we'll vote to hold a interview session. Both good?
You can hold an executive session to review. interview perspective.
Am I missing something that the two people, one that most aren't in here?
One is, the other one isn't. He was all the way at the last one, if it's in the same order that I had. So,
Well, it's not in here.
very last one?
Let me see, it probably is. Okay. Okay.
All right, I'll entertain a motion, well, wait a minute, if, John, you got anything else? Since
No.
Tammy's gone, you can talk now.
Well, yeah, no, I
I get you. Randy, you got anything? Randy made a motion to adjourn, and I'll take a second on that.
don't.
John seconds that, I'll make that unanimous, so we are so adjourned, so.